league's finest match up tonight. Dan Marino has thrown more touchdown passes than any quarterback in the league today, 266.
Had a lot of success throwing deep over the years. It makes it feel good when you throw a touchdown, especially if it's a deep.
Bernie Kosar has taken the Browns to the playoffs 5 times in his 7-year NFL career.
Football is basically a year-round thing, and it basically dominates my life.
But for Dan Marino, there's a gaping hole in a brilliant 9-year career.
Super Bowl ring would be a dream come true for me. I mean, it's something that would fulfill my career, and I would be extremely, extremely excited to get one.
From his peers, there's the utmost respect.
Well, I think Dan Marino is one of the top quarterbacks that's probably ever played the game.
Cleveland Stadium.
The fans really make it tough because they're so into the game, and they call it the dog pound. It's a tough place to play, but you have to be able to handle it.
The Miami Dolphins beat the Cleveland Browns on ABC's Monday Night Football.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Are you ready for Frank and Al and Dan and their Bang Bang Show? We're gonna make you smile and get rid of your blues and do the Monday Night Football boogie for you. I bet you're ready for some football. Miami and Cleveland are coming your way. It's Monday Night Football and it's time to play.
A beautiful shot of Cleveland, Ohio on a great night for football, a wonderful Midwestern evening. Cleveland Stadium, over 70,000 expected tonight as the Cleveland Browns take on the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, along with Al Michaels and Dan Deerdorf. Welcome to Cleveland, where tonight the Cleveland Browns will help the Miami Dolphins finally kick off their 1992 season. The Browns, of course, opened a week ago yesterday, and they had an embarrassing loss to the Indianapolis Colts, 14-3. The Miami Dolphins were scheduled to open on opening day also against New England, but because of the tragic aftermath of Hurricane Andrew, that game was postponed until October the 18th, as many of the Dolphin players and management got involved in that major relief effort down in South Florida. That game has been rescheduled, and the original bye date for both New England and Miami, October the 18th. And one of the things that was a fallout of this, Al Michaels, is the fact that, you know, coaches like to have time off after preseason for their opening game, but 18 days, Don Shula is concerned about it. Maybe it's too much.
2.5 weeks, and even a coach like Don Shula doesn't know whether it will make them sharper or whether it will make them duller. But one thing about the Dolphins, one thing is going to determine their fate this year: defense. It's as simple as that. Sure, they have Dan Marino, great receivers. Bobby Humphrey's been added to the running game. They're going to score a lot of points. But this team, with its proud tradition, has missed the playoffs 5 of the last 6 years. When they went in 1990, their defense got them in. Last year, their defense kept them out. 1992 will be no different for Miami. They'll be in the playoffs. If their defense plays well, they'll be watching on television in January if their defense doesn't. Dan, as far as Cleveland is concerned, there are losses, and then there are losses. And last week, I think even Lon Chaney was too pretty to have played a part in that loss.
He would have left at halftime, too, Al. 11 sacks the Browns gave up, and other than that, Bernie Kosar was knocked down hard another half a dozen times. Now, Jay Hilgenberg, their acquisition from the Bears, the All-Pro center, has had another full week of practice, and he'll be a steadying influence for the Browns here tonight. And boy, do they need it. But here's what they need even more than their offensive line regrouping in the passing game. They need to run the football. They rushed it for only 42 yards last week against the Colts, and James Brooks, the great one, did not touch the ball at all. So tonight, James Brooks, Eric Metcalf, and Tommy Vardell all must be a rushing factor for the Browns if they're to have a chance.
And they will have to wait to get the football because Miami to receive, Matt Stover to put it in the air, this big crowd, and an electric atmosphere in Cleveland watching a short kick that is picked up by Mike Williams after skittering through one of the up men, and Williams brings it back out to the 36-yard line. So here comes Dan Marino in his 10th year in the National Football League. 266 touchdown passes. And behind him, to start the game, Mark Higgs. We'll see Bobby Humphrey a lot as well. Page, the fullback. Duper and Martin, the wideouts. Edmonds, the tight end. They're very good on the left side and a little shaky on the right side. Uhlenake is the center. On first down from the 36, here's Higgs, who gained over 900 yards last year, picking up about 3. He's tackled by James Jones. One man missing. Mark Clayton is on injured reserve for Miami. Defensively, they are missing Michael Dean Perry, the great defensive tackle. So it's Burnett Jones, the rookie Bill Johnson, and Pleasant. They have Brandon with Mike Johnson in the middle and the great veteran Clay Matthews outside. Taylor and Hilliard are the corners. Turner is an up-and-comer. He's going to be a beauty. And Newsome. Minifield is on injured reserve, so he's out. 2nd and 7. Tony Page makes the catch. They love to throw to him. He's a great blocker and a good receiver, and he takes it out to the 45-yard line. He's tackled there by David Brandon, and it will be 3rd down and a short 2 on the Dolphins' opening drive. Shula in his 23rd season as the head man at Miami, and had 7 more at Baltimore, his 30th year as a head coach, trailing only George Halas. The record reflected there, regular season wins only. 3rd down and a long 1 at the 45-yard line. Here's Higgs, finds room to the outside, picks up the first down. So 2 runs and a short little swing pass, and the Dolphins take it to midfield.
Mark Higgs, of course, in there because Don Shula has a philosophy about his starters. You do not lose your job due to an injury. Mark Higgs injured at the end of last season. Bobby Humphrey came in, the 2-time 1,000-yard rusher for Denver, and there are his numbers. He came in on a trade, even up for Sammy Smith, and we will see a lot of Bobby Humphrey, I think, tonight.
First down at the 50-yard line. Just the start of things in Cleveland. Dolphins opening their season. Higgs again. Nice hole. And they'll find it a little soft in the middle. Certainly a lot softer than normal in the absence of Michael Dean Perry.
Yeah, the great Michael Dean still nursing a sore knee, and he is probably 50-50 at best for next week's game. And 3-time Pro Bowler, one of the most dominating defensive linemen in the game, and really the only real star player on the Browns defensive line. A lot of youth, a lot of potential star-type players, but Michael Dean is all alone on the Cleveland Brown front wall.
2nd and 6. They come up in a 1-back set this time and give it to that 1-back who's Higgs. And Higgs moves forward down to the 42. So again, Miami faces a 3rd and short. Bill Johnson, the rookie out of Michigan State, makes the tackle.
We talked about Miami being weak against the run. They were 27th in the league a year ago. Cleveland wasn't all that strong themselves. They were 21st against the rush, and we've already pointed out Michael Dean Perry is not in there. Frank Stamms, an acquisition from the Rams that would have helped build Belichick and his defensive efforts at linebacker, is on the injured reserve, so they are not all that strong against the run themselves.
3rd and 2, and we see Humphrey making his debut for Miami. That is he standing next to Marino, who'll take the snap out of the shotgun formation. He needs 2, and he picks up about 7 on a catch made by Robert Clark, the former Lion, picked up on Plan B to supplement their receiving corps, which, as we mentioned before, is a little short tonight because of Mark Clayton on IR.
And I saw Dan shake his head again. It seems like every time we watch Dan Marino in Miami, that's what we see.
It's nice to know it never changes. The release of Dan Marino, the tight spiral, the pass right on the numbers. In this ever-changing world, it's nice to know we start another NFL season with this guy throwing the football.
First down from the 35-yard line on the game's opening drive. Tony Page gets hit by 2 Browns after he picks up 4. Eric Turner, number 29, their top choice last year out of UCLA, in on the hit. And here's a guy who makes the tackle on Page, Eric Turner, who they think will be all-pro in another year or 2.
6'1", 207 pounds, the All-America from UCLA, and you're right, Al. He has Pro Bowl talent written all over him.
Second player taken in the entire draft. And there's Page.
He's
He
alone.
gets in that little area all by himself. Marino looks over the coverage. If his man isn't open, boom, boom, he fires the Page. 57 receptions last year for Page.
Pretty nimble for a guy 240 pounds.
2nd and 6. Here's Higgs finding room. He takes the ball to the 27-yard line. So the Dolphins, who have now converted 2 consecutive 3rd and shorts, will attempt to make it a hat trick here 5 minutes into the game on a time-consuming opening drive.
Ball control passing for Don Shula's offense. Effective running both to the right and to the left. Although they really seem to be concentrating running behind their great all-pro Richmond Webb at left tackle. Keith Finn, their left guard. A good-looking offensive team, the Miami Dolphins. There's Sims, 69, Webb, 78.
3rd down and 2. Page the fullback. Higgs the tailback, and it's Mark Higgs fighting his way for what appears to be the first down. You can see the stick on the far side.
This will be close.
His forward progress, the Dolphins hope, takes him across the 25-yard line. They'll line it up, and it is a first down. Our referee tonight is Johnny Greer. Bill Belichick, the former Giant assistant, now in his 2nd year as the head man with the Browns.
Again, they go to the left side, though. We may be seeing a trend for the Dolphins early, working behind what is the strength of their offensive line. Richmond, Webb, Sims, Ulenik at center. And that's a nice way to start a ball game.
And that clock should be ticking.
Yep.
It's down to 8:50 remaining in the first quarter, and Marino going for the end zone. Duper, touchdown. Well, if you were wondering whether they would be sharp or rusty after an 18-day layoff, that's a pretty emphatic answer, offensively anyway.
Randy Hilliard got tied up man for man with Mark Duper. Duper on a little bit of a fly with a little juke right in the middle of it. Look at the top of your screen as Duper takes it down, gives it a little hesitation, fins off from Hilliard, and Marino, what can you say? It's a perfectly thrown football. Not that bad a coverage when you're down that close when you're working in the red zone, but Marino was right on the money.
Pete Stoyanovich, Mitchell the hold. That drives 6 minutes, 15 seconds. That's the 49th touchdown catch for Duper from Marino and the 53rd overall in his career. Quickly, 7-0 Miami.
Frame it and hang it on the wall. Marino to Duper. Pretty as a picture.
With cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft, the world's a very cool place. Want to break a European's heart? Let him test drive a Buick Park Avenue Ultra for 2 weeks, then take it away. You see, the Ultra, with its supercharged engine, luxury appointments, and Buick quality, is built in such limited quantities, it's just not available in Europe yet. Want to break a European's heart? Let him drive an Ultra, then take it away.
It's big. It's bad. It'll blow your doors off. Turbo Hammer. There's never been a radio-controlled monster truck with this kind of speed. Rechargeable 9.6V turbo power. Kick in the turbo for extra speed. The world's fastest 9.6V turbo monster truck. This truck really is a monster. 9.6V turbo Hammer. New from Tyco. Battery pack required. Sold separately.
With precision, the Dolphins go down the field in 6 minutes and 15 seconds. They soften them up, and then it's Marino to Duper, beating Hilliard for the 25-yard touchdown pass.
How strange it had to be for the Dolphins looking at the standings in today's paper, seeing everyone being 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2, and goose eggs behind the Miami Dolphins. Everybody else has played 2 before you even play 1.
Pete Stoyanovich, one of the best in the league to put it in the air. This is Hilliard, Randy Baldwin. Baldwin from the goal line, and Baldwin brings it back out to close to the 20-yard line. So Cleveland will take over offensively for the first time with 8 minutes and 36 seconds remaining in the first quarter at Cleveland Stadium. Kosar came out of college early, but not only did he come out early athletically, but academically. He graduated after 3 years, joined the Browns in '85. He has James Brooks, the ex-Bengal, and Tommy Vardell, the rookie from Stanford, in the backfield. You saw the receivers. There's the offensive line, and they will have their hands full tonight, clearly. First down from the 20-yard line, and this is Vardell, who was the first running back picked in the draft. Played his college ball at Stanford, became known as Touchdown Tommy there. He gets 3. Here is the Dolphin defense. And as we mentioned, this is going to be the key to their season. A base 3-4. Turner, Klingbeil starts in the middle. We'll see a lot of Oglesby. Jeff Cross has led them in sacks the last 3 years. Marco Coleman's the guy to watch. Rookie out of Georgia Tech. Grimsley and Offerdahl healthy this year. Cox had a good year last year. Green and Brown are the corners. Hobley and Oliver are the safeties. This is Leroy Horde now, the tailback, on 2nd down and 7 from the 23. They give it to the up back. It's Vardell, who played both spots, tail and fullback, and he gets to the 27 where he's tackled by Oliver. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Miami has a good chance to play back to their year of 1990 defensively. They have John Grimsley back. He missed all of last year for John Olivadotti, the defensive coordinator. John Offerdahl only played 5 games. They had no one over the left side for pass rush. Now they have the #1 draft pick, Marco Coleman. They think he is going to be a great football player. There he is, number 90, out of Georgia Tech. But if they can stay healthy, which was their problem a year ago, they have a pretty good defensive team.
And if they play half as good as that guy did, they'll be all right. Joe Green.
3rd and 3 at the 27. Vardell is the single setback.
There's the blitz.
And the catch is made by the tight end, Pete Holohan, the Plan B pickup. He's been around, played with several teams. Came over from Kansas City in Plan B, and that's a 1st down for the Browns. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember, Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. By cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the cold and into the cold. By Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
And you cannot underestimate the importance of the Browns beating the Dolphin blitz on that last 3rd down.
From the 33, 1st and 10 Cleveland. Miami up 7-0. Vardell again. Well, I mean, for years and years, Frank, and you've been coming here for a long time, I bet you've seen that play run by the Cleveland Browns for, what, 40 years now?
Well, it's really what Bill Belichick wants to go to, and that's kind of a power offense. Whether or not he has the people to be very successful with it is hard to tell. But one of the players he is going to count heavily on is the gentleman you just saw carry the ball, Tommy Vardell, the #1 pick. Big power runner out of Stanford, weighs about 240, and when you stand next to him, Dan, he is a horse and a half.
He is that. But Al, you hit it. Nothing unusual about great fullback play on the shores of Lake Erie.
Little quick toss out to Leroy Horde, and he gets run out of bounds by Lifford Hobley. Horde came over from Michigan, out of the University of Michigan last year, and developed as quite a receiver for the Browns.
And a good receiver is, but that time I think Leroy would be the first to admit he kind of started to put a move on a little early. The Dolphin corner was a good 5 yards away when Leroy started to do a little shake and bake, and that doesn't impress anybody when they're that far away.
Goodyear Blimp looking down into Cleveland Stadium on the lake on a gorgeous night. 3rd down and 6 at the 37. 5:20 to go opening quarter. 7-0 Miami. That's Metcalf in the slot and now in motion. And Kosar under some pressure, and then Horde drops the football. Had some blocking setting up, but Horde drops the ball. 4th down.
You pray to get a blitz coming to the side of the screen, don't you, Frank? It's the perfect setup.
Oh, and I think that maybe Horde just took his eyes off the football just as it came in there. He knew he had major yardage ahead. Number 33, here comes your blitz. That's David Griggs. It's just exactly what you want because there's no one in the screen area, and it's going to be big yardage, and Horde doesn't handle it.
The man who's responsible is blitzing the quarterback. When you call the screen to the blitzing side, it normally goes for big yardage.
Brian Hansen was about their only bright spot at Indy last week. This pick taken at the 20-yard line by Scott Miller, who comes to the short side of the field and returns it to the 31. So the Browns get 1 first down and then have to punt. And Marino will lead the offensive unit back out. Terminal Tower in Cleveland, 5:04 to go in the opening quarter, and Miami up 7-0.
You probably think the best American car value is some little econo box you have to settle for, right? Nope. It's a Buick. The luxurious Buick Park Avenue. That's according to the Complete Car Cost Guide. They calculated the 5-year cost of depreciation, financing, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and repairs, and found that Park Avenue is the best American car value. For a free reprint from the Complete Car Cost Guide, call 1-800-4-BUICK.
The world is in transition. The defining challenge of the 90s is to win the economic competition, to win the peace. We must be a military superpower, an economic superpower, and an export superpower. In this election, you'll hear two versions of how to do this. Theirs is to look inward. Ours is to look forward. Prepare our people to compete, to save and invest so we can win. Here's what I'm fighting for. Open markets for American products, lower government spending, tax relief, opportunities for small business, legal and health reform, job training, and new schools built on competition ready for the 21st century.
Tim blows his chance for romance.
What did you want me to say? The kids are gone, I'm home alone, come and take me, Big Daddy?
That I understand. The season premiere of Home Improvement, Wednesday.
Cleveland's best defensive lineman in civvies tonight, Michael Dean Perry. We'll see his brother next week. The Prigs looked pretty good yesterday, despite Chicago's loss at New Orleans. We have the Bears and the Giants next Monday. First down, Miami at the 31-yard line, and Mark Higgs seeking that first down and coming very close to a 10-yard pickup. Hit first by Eric Turner, and then corralled up at the 41-yard line, and Johnny Greer says first down, Miami.
I think Mark Higgs is the guy that really kind of got lost in this Sammy Smith, Bobby Humphrey trade. That, you know, assuming that Humphrey is going to become the main man for the Miami Dolphins. But remember that Higgs had a 905 yards rushing last year. That's not just an average year. That's an excellent year for a running back in the NFL, especially for a guy 5 feet 7 inches tall.
Playing for the Dolphins, they haven't had a 1,000-yard running back since 1978.
From the 41-yard line, here's Higgs. Doesn't add to his total. Bumped back by Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews, if he can stay healthy this year and play again next year, he will have played in more games than any linebacker in the history of the National Football League. Meanwhile, back to the Miami rushing game, Frank mentioning since 78. They keep trying to get that 1,000-yard barrier. There was Sammy Smith, 831 2 years ago. And then last year, Higgs gave it his best shot. 905.
How high is that tower for Simpsons 2003?
Just blows that bell right out.
We need a bigger screen. That's right.
At the 42-yard line, second down and 9. 3:37 to go in the quarter. 7-0 Dolphins. Marino pump faking under pressure now, but finds Farrell Edmonds. The tight end got loose over the middle. And he finally gets run down at the 48-yard line by David Brandon and Randy Hilliard. It'll be third and about 4.
Well, that time the Browns came with their own blitz. The Dolphins were able to pick it up, and Marino had a lot of time. It was just good coverage downfield. Look, he has plenty of time. The blitz is picked up, and he has to check off to Edmonds. And with the yardage to go, Edmonds just, even with the speed he has, and he's a very fast for a tight end, he couldn't get the first down. That's good coverage on the part of the Browns downfield.
The jovial one.
He's a lot more jovial than Belichick right now. Third down and 4. Bobby Humphrey is in the game again. Next to Marino. 4 wide receivers all into their patterns. Humphrey stays in the block. Marino throws a beauty down the sideline. It is Clark making the catch, and Clark takes it inside the 10-yard line. He beats Stephon Moore, the former Miami Dolphin.
Stephon Moore was way inside the coverage, and he could have been picked off on a crossing pattern out there because he was nowhere near to it. Watch the two top receivers. They do a little crossing pattern. Number 27, that's Stevan Moore. He got caught up, he picked by his own man, if you will. And Robert Clark, who is not a familiar name to Dolphin fans, but he had a great couple of years with Detroit. That's what happens when you get picked off, this man-to-man coverage and a crossing pattern, and Moore is dead.
And I think the important thing to stress there, that's not an illegal pick. Mark Duper just stopped, and he really was cleaned off by his own man. Not an illegal play.
First and goal, Marquez for a touchdown. And the Dolphins have gotten off to a perfect start. Tony Page with the block, as he's done for the last couple of years. Belichick's team is already in immediate trouble. Down 14-0 with 2:05 to go in the first quarter.
That's over on the right side, Dan. Just good zone blocking. Nothing, no finesse involved in it. They just beat the defensive line of the Browns. Blew them out of there. Just off the line. Page gets a good block. We talked so many times about how Page is a good receiver, and he is that, but he is a fine blocker out of the backfield.
That didn't even seem to be all that well executed in the backfield. It looked like Marino had to struggle to get the ball to Higgs, but nonetheless, Johnny Greer tells us that already it's 14-0. The Browns defense has shown no inclination that they're going to stop Miami.
The Fighting Irish.
Not having to travel very far. Akron about 40-50 miles down the interstate, providing the Aerials tonight on a spectacular night.
And quite a job by Goodyear sending their blimp down to South Florida, broadcasting messages off the side of the blimp. That was a nice gesture.
Absolutely.
And it worked.
And so many of these Dolphins here tonight were involved in that relief effort down there. Dan Marino delivering a lot of clothes from NFL Properties, over 5,000 garments.
Yeah, well, I don't think their charity is extending to the Cleveland Browns.
No, sir. Stoyanovic's kick taken at the 1 by Randy Baldwin, the second-year man from Mississippi. And he brings it back out to the 17, corralled by a quartet of Dolphins, led by Mike Williams and Nick Saban, the defensive coordinator, and his gang. Well, they look pretty good last week at Indianapolis, but they've been shredded tonight in the first 2 series.
Well, he was talking to Stephen Moore, trying to explain to him how you do not get picked off by your own man on a crossing pattern. They had to have seen that in the films, the video that they have looked at. Miami does a great deal. They do it with their tight end. They do it with their 2 wide receivers.
Well, give Miami credit too, Frank. They used Duper as the setup guy. That had to confuse Cleveland. Normally, you'd think he'd be the guy that would be on the fly pattern.
From the 17-yard line, a little swing pass to James Brooks. It's the first time he touches the ball as a Brown, and he can forget about that one as John Offerdahl read the play and knocks him down. James Brooks, of course, many seasons at Cincinnati, a star there, started his career in San Diego, kind of in the twilight right now. They want him to add a little bit to the offense. He played last week, but didn't run with it and didn't catch it.
One would suspect, wouldn't you, Dan, his twilight is pretty good sunshine, because he stays in incredible shape. He works out the entire year all the way around, and he is one of the toughest little men I've ever watched play.
I agree. A 1 yard per completion average.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Marino is 6 for 6 and closing in on 100.
There's a change by Kozar.
2nd and 15. Tommy Vardell bangs his way up to the 16-yard line. The boos begin to cascade early. A minute to go in the first quarter that's been dominated by the Dolphins.
Frank, I just want to follow up on your starting to talk about James Brooks. I think you feel this way too. Few players have I admired in the last 20 years in the National Football League the way I have admired James Brooks. I mean, this guy weighs 180 pounds, and at times when he took on ball carriers, you would swear that he weighed 220 or 225. Some players play big. Nobody played bigger than James Brooks. Wonderful play.
His combined yardage, kicks, running, receiving, over 13,000 yards.
3rd down and 11. Kozar avoids a sack, then throws and completes it to Metcalf. And that's exactly what the Browns need in what has otherwise been an abysmal first quarter.
And credit Kozar with escaping from a sack. He doesn't look all that pretty. He's 6'5", kind of gawky when he comes out of there, but he can get away from a lot of people. And he does not lose his presence. TJ Turner had a real good shot at him. Watch now. Kozar's big and he's strong, and he just moves out of the tackle of T.J. Turnus, finds the receiver, keeps his cool, and gets the completion of the first down.
And so the quarter ends on an up note for the Browns. Dolphins lead it by a score of 14-0. Monday Night Football continues after this message and a word from our ABC station.
We've got.
Back in Cleveland, start the second quarter. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf. Monday Night Football back here for the first time in 2 years. Miami leads 14-0. The Browns have it, converting on 3rd and 11. It is now 1st and 10 at the 32 as we start the second quarter. Double tight end setup, including Mark Bavaro, number 83 for Cleveland. And they keep it on the ground, and James Brooks finds enough room to pick up about 4. And let's take a look at the numbers through the first 15 minutes of play. It's been all, of course, Miami, especially as far as the passing yardage is concerned.
And Marino is absolutely perfect, 6 for 6.
And a mistake-free quarter. No turnovers, no penalties.
That's about as fast as you can play a quarter, too.
That's how you do it in a hurry. The clock doesn't run while you're kicking an extra point.
2nd and 6, Cleveland at the 37-yard line. That's Brooks in motion. Vardell remains in the backfield and stays in the block. And Kosar hits Brooks. He makes the catch at the 41-yard line and is stopped there just short of the first down. ABC's Monday Night Football is being brought to you by all the team members at Saturn. A different kind of company, a different kind of car. Third down, yard and a half upcoming. And
are we looking for
Chris
a contact?
Green, I don't think we are. Yeah, Chris Green looking for something in the grass there.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he lost the contact lens.
Well, Chris Green is the guy who's playing in a spot right now that the Dolphins want to see occupied eventually and will see occupied by Troy Vincent, one of their #1 draft choices.
This is Green's first start ever. Second year in the league. There is Troy Vincent on the Miami sideline. He's got a bad hamstring. Of course, he was late coming in, a contract problem, and as often happens, gets a nick not too long after he's in camp and finds himself at this juncture way behind.
Okay, the Dolphins stepped up defensively. They had 2 #1 draft picks. They went for Troy Vincent as their #1 draft pick, their first one, and then they went for Marco Coleman, the linebacker, with their second #1 draft pick.
3rd and short 2. Bestie Jackson replaces Green. Kosar has to scramble, and then he throws it away. He was under pressure, and they cannot convert on 3rd down and 2. Leroy Hoard looked like he was closest. He wasn't within 8 yards of that pass.
You know, one of the reasons the Browns have got to be having a problem with their passing game. They are missing Webster Slaughter. He has not signed, of course. And Reggie Langhorne is with Indianapolis. Brian Brennan has moved on. He went to Cincinnati. Kevin Mack is not here. He's in IR. And those 4 individuals represent 174 receptions for Kosar last year. And these receivers that Kosar has now, he's just not that familiar with. And they're not great receivers.
Brian Hansen to kick. This is a high kick, but a short one. He'll need a good bounce. And he doesn't get it. They down it at the 27-yard line. So Hansen, who kicked well last week, not so well thus far tonight. Brian Kitchen made the touch. 13:31 to go in the half. Dolphins up 14-7. Second half of the doubleheader, Notre Dame against Michigan State. Call your cable operator, by the way. The early games are available in other regions on a pay-per-view basis.
I'll be in touch with mine. Fight on.
All right, that's right. And then we'll be at Soldier Field next week. The Giants come in against the Chicago Bears. Great rivalry. The renewal of it next Monday. Here's Higgs on first down. He goes nowhere. James Jones, number 96, gives the crowd something to cheer about. And of course, it's early in the game, but it's at this point critical for Cleveland to stop Miami here.
Somebody has to do something or have a collective effort A 3-down punting situation for Miami would be ideal if you're a Browns fan or a member of the Browns organization. But this has been a very efficient Miami offense to this point.
2nd and 12 at the 25-yard line. Edmonds in motion. Marino sets up in the pocket, then throws to the 32. Mark Higgs out of the backfield. He makes the catch. He's tackled by David Brandon, and it's going to be 3rd and 6.
Marino taking the play. He changes the play at the line of scrimmage a lot of times. He has total autonomy when he comes up there to do whatever he wants to do.
Whenever he wants to do it, whomever he wants to do it against, it doesn't matter.
And he is very, very good at it.
Bobby Humphrey is the go-to guy here out of the backfield.
3rd and 6. They've been using Humphrey in 3rd down situations. 3 receivers set to the left. Marino finally flushed out and sacked at the 19-yard line by Rob Burnett.
Browns needed that.
Yes, they did.
And Marino, as everyone knows in this game, is very difficult to sack. That time, credit that sack to the coverage downfield. He had 4 wide receivers maneuvering downfield. None of them can come open. He senses the pocket collapsing from the middle, moves to the outside, and here comes Barnett. And nowhere for Marino to put the football.
Reggie Roby, the perennial Pro Bowl punter, booms one, but it's a bit of a line drive at the 30-yard line. That's Metcalf, and he is able to run it back to the 39-yard line.
And you hear that, and Reggie Roby is hurt.
Remember, last year he ended the season with an Achilles tear of his left non-kicking leg.
And that's an injury to his left leg, Al.
And the frustration that he's showing might indicate that he might have re-damaged it.
He didn't do it on the kick.
And now it's time for our regular feature on what's new in the world of sports science and technology.
A look behind the scenes as sports and science converge, brought to you by AT&T. The same daily workout routine can become tedious to many exercisers. Now, adapting NASA's anti-gravity simulator technology, the Orbitron offers a full-body workout that is far from boring. The Orbitron provides an isometric, non-repetitive workout. The gravitational forces created by the exerciser's own power make the workout intense but fun.
In our universe, there is always the unknown, the unpredictable. All we can do is prepare for it.
AT&T is now installing FastStart. It can detect a cable cut instantly, so 800 calls can get back in minutes instead of hours.
We can send flowers for any occasion, anywhere, but only if our 800 service is up and running. Our 800 service isn't just a phone line, it's a lifeline.
I miss you.
AT&T has the most reliable 800 service, period.
AT&T. Call us.
I'm paid to buy the high-volume copiers. I don't want to have to worry about them.
The corporate line from Canon.
If our copiers are working, our people are working.
Reliable high-volume copiers you don't have to think about. The corporate line from Canon, the new power in high-volume copying.
Al Unser Jr. has the lead. One more turn to go. Here they come. The checkered flag is out. Little Al wins by just a few tenths of a second. Perhaps the closest finish in the history of the Indianapolis 500.
It's a bruising battle between classic rivals. The New York Giants invade Soldier Field to tackle the Chicago Bears next week on ABC's Monday Night Football.
They're looking at the knee of Reggie Roby, and he just dodged a tackle coming down. And hate to put it this way, but that's pretty good news. They're looking at the knee instead of that left ankle where he had the ruptured Achilles tendon at the end of last year.
First down, Browns at the 38-yard line, 11:27 to go in the half. Tommy Vardell gets wrapped up as he crosses the 40-yard line, stopped by Offerdahl. And it'll be 2nd down and 8.
That's a slow developing play. Tough play to get it around the corner, even though it had a great lead block by Leroy Horde. Still plenty of time for the Dolphins to react and get over to that. That is going to be a hard play to run with a great deal of success against the NFL defenses of today with the great team speed they have.
A little familiar to you, Dan? Looks like the Giants a few years ago with Joe Morris back there.
2nd and 7 at the 41-yard line. Kosar slings it to Mark Bavaro. And the former Giant great picks up the first down.
That's nice to see. Whether you're a Browns fan or not, if you don't like this human interest story, you really have got a hard heart. That Mark Bavaro is able to make a comeback. Surgery in '89, a bone graft in '91. And Frank, the people who love the Giants, this is, I guess, bittersweet to see Bavaro playing.
Well, a lot of them are also hoping that he'll be all right in playing. It's his decision. The Giants stood by their medical decision that he should not be playing football.
First down, and Kosar under a lot of pressure just throws it away. Leroy Horde closest to it, but the pressure was put on that time by T.J. Turner, the left end coming in to hasten Morty's delivery, you might say.
More on Bavaro. He came into camp and was invited in to really train as he saw fit, and he took his time, he eased into it, was working one a day, very quiet, hard worker, great talent with the Giants, over 260 receptions, over 28 touchdowns to be exact. But he's more than that when he lines up on a football field. He brings the whole thing, and a great blocker.
The best blocking tight end I ever saw.
2nd and 10. Tommy Vardell slips off, finds room, and Vardell takes it to the 38-yard line. Nice little move to his right that time to set up a 3rd and short. Bill Belichick, you recall he was the mastermind of the Giant defense, and the last time you saw him on the New York sideline was the Super Bowl against Buffalo. A lot of people thought if Parcells would have quit at that point, he might have gotten the job, but of course Parcells waited until May. Belichick took the job here, and then of course it was Ray Handley who subsequently got the head coaching position in New York. 3rd down, 3. Leroy Horde had limped off. Kosar hits Vardell underneath. And Vardell gets banged back, but he does pick up the first down.
Touchdown Tommy meets the Bagelmeister.
Ron Offerdahl. What a hit on touchdown Tommy. And a good move by Kosar to get out of the pocket. Now watch Offerdahl. Now he's coming back from knee surgery. Lays back in the pass defense, and he just takes Vardell a head on. 5-time Pro Bowler, Offerdahl, and he's back in form. Any question about his knee? There isn't any now.
First down for Cleveland at the 30-yard line. 8:38 left in the half. That's Ron Wolfley, the former Phoenix special teamer in the backfield. But Offerdahl, to whom he just referred, not only provides pass coverage, but he can blitz as well, and down goes Kosar at the 40-yard line.
Getting those two linebackers back in the middle, it was Grimsley who missed the entire season, and Kosar is limping. Now he decides he'll stay on the field, and there is Offerdahl, number 56. He doesn't blitz that much, only his 9th sack of his career.
Not a missed assignment. He just went on the outside on Rienstra and then came back to the inside, and Rienstra not able to make the block. And cannot overstate what it means to the Dolphins to have John Offerdahl back in the lineup.
Leroy Horde is back in for Cleveland out of the shotgun. 2nd and 20. Kosar knocked down at the 49-yard line by Brian Cox. Well, back-to-back sacks now after that massacre last week at the Hoosier Dome.
Murmur by the crowd. Of course, probably all of them are watching that massacre you're talking about, where Kosar was sacked 11 times, but it was the hits. He was hit 18 times.
3rd down and 29. You know, it's not funny. It's ironic. Last week he gets sacked 11 times. A few years back, remember, Dan Marino went 19 games in a row over 2 seasons without getting sacked.
Well, you're almost assured of losing your quarterback if this continues. They just cannot take that pounding.
3rd and 29. They have to get to the 20, and they try to pick up some yardage on a Vardell inside handoff. Meanwhile, as far as the Dolphins are concerned, we understand it's a twisted left knee for Reggie Roby. He is done for the night. I believe Pete Stoyanovich would have to do the punting as well as the place kicking. He's sitting next to him right now, but Roby, with his knee wrapped, is finished. Brian Hansen ready to punt for the 3rd time now for Cleveland. And he lofts it inside the 10, and then it takes a good bounce for Cleveland because they're able to down it deep as Ron Wolfley makes the touch at the 7. So the Dolphins deep in their own territory, 6:40 to go in the half, and it remains 14-0 Miami. 6:40 remaining in the first half at Cleveland Stadium. The Dolphins took the ball in on each of their first 2 drives, and they lead 14-0. They start this drive from their own 7-yard line. 1st and 10. Marino the fake to Higgs. That buys some time, but then it's batted in the air, and that was a smart move made by Sims to at least touch it. Actually, what he should have done is tried to spike it, but he got the job done nonetheless. Ernie Logan was the guy who got his hand on it.
Good coverage downfield for Marino. He had plenty of time in the pocket, and he just drilled the ball.
That was Bill Johnson. He didn't get a hand on it. He got his helmet on it.
Doink, right in the helmet, and that can rattle you a little bit too. Doink in there. Donk.
That's Marino's first incomplete pass, 2nd and 10. And this is James Saxon making his first carry of the night, a non-memorable one. James Jones is there to stop him.
And Jones appears to have turned it up a notch. He's a guy trying to provide a spark in there for the Brownies. If the Browns can hold here, they would get the ball in decent field position, and maybe Kozar and the offense can do something.
3rd and 10, and keep in mind now with Roby out, Stoyanovich would have to come in to kick.
Browns need this badly.
And that's why Miami is not hesitating to let Marino put it in the air. He's got a problem with his personnel.
Crowd trying to jam the signals. Play clock is down to 3, 2. They get the play off. Marino has that one tipped, but it's caught at the 13-yard line by Bobby Humphrey. There's our first flag of the game down on the field. That was not enough for the first down. Johnny Greer is the referee. That call goes against Miami. If it was holding in the end zone, of course, it would be a safety. That's Rob Burnett who tipped the ball. They'll decline the penalty and force Stoyanovich to punt.
What a spot to come in when you haven't punted but twice in your NFL career. With Roby on the bench, Stoyanovich will be kicking, will probably be out of the end zone.
69, offense. It's declined. 4th down.
I think I got Keith Sims working against Anthony Pleasant, and that was close to being in the end zone.
So Stoyanovich, those 2 punts came last year when Roby got hurt in the last game of the season against the Jets.
You know, kickers are always fooling around with it, though, and he probably has kicked a lot in practice.
Takes the snap. Metcalf is back to receive it. It's not a bad kick. It's a little short, but has a lot of height and takes a wonderful bounce for him and rolls to the 39-yard line. So we got a big break on the bounce.
That was nicely done by Stoyanovich. The snap was high and hard, and he handled it and got away. A beauty.
48 yards. Big lineup as always on Tuesday. Tomorrow on ABC, Full House, Family Matters gets it started. Then find out if Becky elopes on the season premiere of Roseanne, followed by Delta Burke, starring in Delta and the season's first big new hit, Going to Extremes, all tomorrow night here on ABC. Cleveland with a 1st and 10 from the 39-yard line, and Tommy Vardell picks up 5 up to the 44. A lot of news around the league, of course, as always on a Monday, and today 10 unsigned veteran players, among them Keith Jackson of Philadelphia, Webster Slaughter of Cleveland, suing the league in federal court seeking immediate free agency, and there's the list, and there's some pretty good players on that list, some big names. Hearing is scheduled for Wednesday. Dan's going to talk to Gene Upshaw at the half. Frank's got Paul Tagliabue. We'll have him live. We'll also be talking to David Shula, 2-0 as the Bengals' new coach. A lot coming up at the half. 2nd and 5 from the 44, and James Brooks goes nowhere. Jeff Cross right there.
Browns staying with their 2 tight ends on first down and not getting much production out of it. Trying to run the football against Miami and not being successful.
Navarro comes out in what will be a shotgun multi-receiver offense here. 3rd down and 8. Metcalf and Jackson go to the left. Ford stays in the backfield. Jamie Holland splits to the right. Five-man rush. And Michael Jackson makes the catch and has the first down. Chris Green made the tackle.
Chris Green had pretty good coverage. He just slipped Michael Jackson, who they think is going to become a fine receiver. He's tall, 6'4". There he is, number 1 on the outside. Now watch number 42, and he tries to keep Jackson from getting to the outside, had his arm in there a little bit, made a good effort to get back and get into the play.
The reason Green fell down is because he'd been hanging on Jackson for the previous 5 yards, finally lost his grip and fell to the ground.
1st and 10 at the 47. 14-0 Miami, 3:10 to go in the half. Leroy Horde stopped by Jeff Cross and his pals at the 46-yard line.
That was an exciting play.
Once again, the 2 tight ends, this power football that Bill Belichick would like to bring to the Cleveland Browns, and again, perhaps lacking the personnel to do so at this point.
The Browns have all 3 timeouts remaining. We're approaching 2.5 minutes left in the first half. I think they should begin about at this point to demonstrate a little more intensity and a little more urgency offensively in trying to run some plays. They do not have all day.
Instead, they're a little confused as to how they even set up here as Kosar moves forward over. There's the play clock down to 2. On 2nd and 10, the pass is high and incomplete.
When you're down 14-0 at this stage of the half, I'm not sure that you use 43 seconds to execute a play.
And that was a poorly conceived play also. You have your wide receiver inside about 6 or 7 yards. You got your entire defense bunched up, and you try to slip it in there without any real play fake.
Well, you go back almost 3 years. Cardinals, Patriots, and then Cleveland with the 3rd worst record.
What the significance of that is, 2 of those 3 teams are not perennial playoff teams. The Browns are. Phoenix and New England haven't been there in a while.
3rd and 10 at the 47. Dolphins show blitz. Send 1 man in. Kosar escapes. Kosar going deep, looking for Jackson, too far. Good coverage. Staying right back with him was Bestie Jackson.
Trying to get Jackson at 6'4" in a mismatch with Bestie Jackson. And Jackson with good coverage, the former Chicago Bear. In good position, but again, it was Bernie Kosar just hoping that Jackson could go up with his height and take it away.
And lost
Bestie Jackson.
And lost in the long passer was the fact that Kosar's protection broke down, and he had to evade a tackler to get outside to throw it.
Almost on every pass play, Dan.
Yep.
Brian Hansen to punt. A fair catch is called for, and you shouldn't make a fair catch at your 6-yard line. That's what Scott Miller does. Might as well take your chance and let it bounce, but he corrals it. And the clock stops with 2:01 remaining in the half, and that in effect gives Miami an extra play here. Because they're going to get a play, then the 2-minute warning. Well, that's Society Center, that beautiful new 75-story skyscraper, the old Terminal Tower. They've really done quite a job here in Cleveland with new construction downtown. They're going to build a new ballpark, some beautiful new hotels in the city.
And how about that mall, Terminal Mall? Spectacular, right? That's where the trains used to come in.
But the new baseball stadium, as I understand it, being designed and built by the same people as at Camden Yards in Baltimore?
Yes. Yep.
Well, if it looks anything like that, it'll be a jewel.
Indians will be in there in 94. First down from the 6. And Higgs gives them breathing room, takes it to the 13. We have the 2-minute warning, which officially comes at 1:55 remaining. And the Miami Dolphins, on what is opening night for them, lead Cleveland 14-0.
A great man once said, winning, gentlemen, isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Look, a grasshopper.
High formation, 34 sweep on 2. Got it? Just give the ball to Matt. Tell him to run toward his daddy. Got it?
It starts every September with teams like the Turkey Creek Hawks, the Bronx Eagles, and the Newport Richie Giants. On fields where dads aren't only coaches, and oak trees mark the end zones. And a good day isn't determined by if you win or lose, but where you go after the game. So McDonald's would like to salute the players, the coaches, the families, everyone who helped make this season a perfect season.
Can we go to McDonald's now, Coach?
After the game, Lenny. This is only halftime. Now go sit down.
Old friend of mine, Doug Deacon, who's doing the radio broadcasting for the Browns as he has for, I think, the last 8 years. And he was, I think, heartsick at what happened last week watching this Browns offensive line. And he wondered to me before the game, can you imagine giving up 11 sacks, 6 quarterback knockdowns, and you weren't called for holding once the entire game? Tackle the guy before you let him get your quarterback.
2nd and 4 from the 13. Here's Higgs. Higgs squirts up to close to the 15. It's going to be 3rd down and 2. And the Dolphins have all of their timeouts left. This is one of those interesting situations here where the clock continues to run. Defensively, Cleveland would love to be able to stop it, but you really can't on 3rd and 2. And Miami doesn't want to necessarily stop it because they want to see if they can pick up the 1st down, and then they'll use their timeouts.
And deep in their own territory, even though Stoyanovich had a good punt on his first effort, you don't necessarily want to see him handling the ball down there inside the 10. Possibility of a block, fumble with a bad snap.
And Marino will get this snapped at about 2 seconds left on the play clock.
Smart way to play it. It really is. Yeah. 3rd down and 2 from the 15-yard line. Little shovel. This is Humphrey. And he takes it to the 20, but there's a flag down. Only the 2nd one of the game. Vince Newsom made the stop. That was enough for a 1st down, but Johnny Greer, who has had almost no airtime tonight.
No one's complaining.
Tells us.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 90, defense. It's declined. 1st down.
That's Rob Burnett. That's a 1st down, and now they've got all of their timeouts remaining. And for Marino, that's an eternity. 1:02 on the clock.
But I still wouldn't look for Miami to push the ball down the field with a 14-0 lead inside their own 20. They might, but
they're so confident in Dan Marino, Dan, that they have really high percentage passing. He'll look downfield, nothing's there, he'll dump it off to one of his backs.
I've seen him throw interceptions before. It has happened.
1st and 10 from the 20.
Yeah.
Has it on the ground. Higgs picks up the 1st down. He gets to the 34-yard line. He's stopped by Clay Matthews. And let's see if Miami's going to stop the clock at the 34. Still rolling, and now they decide, yes, sir.
Well, we saw John Offerdahl deliver a hit for the Miami Dolphins. Clay Matthews has just answered in kind for the Cleveland Browns. This is a colossal hit. Watch this.
Higgs trying to stay in bounds. He turns it back into the inside and really pays for it.
Ooh, here, that is, watch this at regular speed. When you send a guy who's running with a football and you send him airborne and the first thing that hits the ground are his shoulder blades.
He's rapidly becoming known as the noblest Trojan of them all.
You have put a big timer on a guy. Look at this again.
He's been doing this, Dan.
Watch Higgs. Oh.
Higgs ought to be proud he held on to the football. That's a good way to lose it.
He's the oldest defensive player in the league at 36. The only older players in the league, period. 2 quarterbacks, Steve DeBerg and Phil Simms, and 2 offensive tackles, Jackie Slater and Mike Ken.
And what if he plays all 16 games this year? He ties Groza, correct, for the most games played for the Cleveland Browns?
And sets the record for most games ever played by any linebacker ever.
Well, Marino is going to get adventuresome.
After the timeout, the pass is incomplete as Mark Duper got surrounded. And the Browns congratulate themselves on knocking it loose. Terry Taylor.
And this is, you know, I don't want to denigrate Lou Groza when I say this, but when you talk about longevity records and games played for teams, I really think kickers should be excluded.
A little asterisk. He was a great offensive tackle for a while.
Yes, but his 200-plus ball games, a lot of them came as a kicker. And I just don't think that Clay Matthews' 200-plus games can equate to kickers around the league who've accumulated that many games as well, just punting or kicking extra points at field goal. I don't think they're the same.
2nd and 10, and here goes Higgs, and he gets by Matthews and takes it up to the 37-yard line, 32 seconds, and now the Browns are going to take a timeout. Some real interesting strategy here. It looks like Miami's going to move up the field, see what happens. They took the timeout, then Cleveland stops them, so the Browns now take the timeout with 3rd and 7 upcoming.
Well, they have a very dangerous return man in Metcalf. If they could force Miami into a punt situation, they might be able to make something happen. And they could use something happening.
It'll be 3rd and 7 when play resumes. Meanwhile, as far as yesterday's news was concerned, in that wild one at Candlestick Park, Buffalo and San Francisco, that was the first game in the history of the NFL, regular season or postseason, without a punt. Kelly and Young each over 400 yards. Meanwhile, there were 13 returns yesterday for touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 4 fumble returns, 2 punt returns, a kickoff return, a blocked punt, and a blocked field goal. And Deion Sanders, the first player since Bobby Mitchell to run back a kick for a touchdown 4 consecutive years.
Deion's only 4 years.
Yeah. And Bobby Mitchell was probably there to watch it, the assistant GM of the Redskins. 3rd and 7, 31 ticks left. 4-man Cleveland rush as Marino rolls and looks and guides and fires, and the catch is made, and that is enough for a first down up at the 46-yard line. Coming out of that pile was Tony Martin with 23 seconds. First down.
Al, you lived in the San Francisco area for a while. How is it that Candlestick Park came to get its name?
Well, I learned something yesterday. It came to get its name because it's on a peninsula known as Candlestick Point.
Okay.
Okay.
I was confused.
I was too.
Miami with a little bit of strategy going for them. They have a place kicker that has kicked a 58-yard field goal in his career.
First down from the 46-yard line, and the catch is made by Bobby Humphrey only to the 50, and Miami's got to take a timeout here, and clearly they're not in field goal range right now. They have 1 timeout remaining.
There is Stojanovic, 80% field goal kicker, but he can stretch it out there. He has a 58-yarder, he has a 59-yarder, but that's off an artificial surface, and this is natural.
I'll tell you one thing, you're looking at Don Shula. He's going to eventually catch George Halas for most wins, unless his son beats him to the mark. You're looking at David Shula, 2-0 as the Bengals head coach. Great win yesterday in OT against the Los Angeles Raiders. David is in Cincinnati. We're going to visit with him live at halftime.
Don started his career very young. He was in his 30s when he took over as head coach for Baltimore.
Yep, same age as David, 33.
And David, we can tell you when we visited with your dad yesterday, he was most pleased at your 2-0 start.
He says you have better vertical leap than he has.
You have a proud papa.
He will continue to root for you until you begin to present a wild card problem for him. Then you're on your own. 2nd down and 5 at the 49. Four-man rush. Marino has time. He throws to the 43. Robert Clark makes the catch. They take a timeout, but you're still looking at close to a 60-yard attempt here with 5 seconds. And they take a timeout now.
Number 3.
Marino complaining that he had lost some seconds off the clock, and I think he did. He was screaming and yelling, and the clock continued to roll.
3 ticks.
There is no wind to speak of blowing here at Cleveland Stadium, which is kind of unusual because the wind has been blowing for the last couple of days that we've been here on the lake, and just a gentle swirl down on the field.
Pointed out that Stojanovic has a 59-yard field goal, but that would be just about what it would be, except this is a natural surface, and it's much more difficult to get it off a natural surface, the grass, than it is off the artificial. So I would expect we're going to see something thrown deep, hoping for some sort of a Hail Mary, or if not, a defensive foul.
Notice how this game's been played to the right side. He's barely been on the dirt the entire game.
Yeah. In the Indians infield.
Yep. Look how clean everybody's uniforms are.
Yep. Marino on the final play of the half, barring a penalty, throws, and that was knocked away at the last moment. Duper was there, and Terry Taylor got a hand on it. Pretty close.
And did he rifle that ball?
That was no Hail
Mary. He put some smoke on that, and it came close. Look at that.
Hale Taylor for Cleveland.
If he falls asleep, it's 21-0.
There's Taylor with a good play. Former Detroit Lion.
Well, the Dolphins scoring their first 2 drives. Meanwhile, David Shula live from Cincinnati at the half. Dan talks to Gene Upshaw and Paul Tagliabue live as we discuss all of the doings around the NFL. We'll return with halftime activities after this message from the NFL and a word from our ABC station. Beautiful night in Cleveland. Temperature in the low 70s, upper 60s right about now. Clear skies. Just perfect. Big crowd, Cleveland Stadium. Their Browns down by a score of 14-0. Frank is going to talk to Commissioner Paul Tagliabue in just a moment as Pete Stoyanovich kicks off. Eric Metcalf back deepest for Cleveland. And Stojanovich's kick is deep enough that Metcalf will down it there. And let's go to Frank.
Thank you very much, Al. And Commissioner Paul Tagliabue with us in our booth today. And Commissioner, I know you begin your 3rd year now, full year as Commissioner. You've been covering a lot of games. This has been an exciting start for you.
The way the game's been going, I think I'll try to go to 2 or 3 every weekend if I could possibly do it. It's been great football for 2 weeks.
Okay, and it has been busy. I think perhaps we should touch on just now, where is the case? We heard from Gene Upshaw a while ago, but where is the case now as far as you're concerned?
Well, it's really where I wish it weren't, namely in the courts. You know, we had a verdict last week, and it's really a split verdict. And each side sort of is claiming that it's a victory for them. But I think in this type of situation, there are no winners, there are no losers. We should be out of court and get a deal with the players.
Okay, Bernie Kosar, as you can see, a little confused with what's going on at the moment with the wrong personnel. All right, we'll get things pulled together out on the field, and we'll be back at Cleveland Stadium in just a moment, and also back with the Commissioner.
If you want a beer that...
Where it is, as far as you're concerned, what impact does the filing of the 10 players, their suit in Minneapolis today, what impact does that have, Paul?
Well, I don't think they'll really have a big impact, Frank. It's a real small part of a big picture. The big picture is that the jury said last week, you know, that the owners could have rules, but that the current rules are too restrictive. So I think what we need to do at the league level is talk about the 1,600 players in the league for the next decade. Where do we go with that part of it, and not, you know, a handful of players and where we are in '92.
Here's
Metcalf turns it around the corner. Big pickup. First down yardage for Eric Metcalf. As far as the future as you see it, where does it go from here? You said something very profound, I think, earlier when you said it keeps escalating. Every time somebody appears to have a victory, well, then they escalate their side of it, and then the other side seems to have a victory, and it just seems to keep compounding itself.
Well, that's been the history of the last 5 years. You know, every year someone else is claiming victory, and then the positions harden. And I just hope we can work with the players and get it back to the bargaining table where it should be, and try and develop a partnership such as they've done in the NBA and work out a deal of that type.
Here's Tommy Vardell for the Cleveland Browns taking the handoff, and a big gain for him after they had taken the timeout. Metcalf a first down, and Vardell trying to get the Browns right back into the game.
Tommy Vardell, the #1 draft pick, and all of a sudden the Browns looking awfully good offensively, and we'll continue to talk to the commissioner for just a moment. Commissioner, what is the next step now from the side of the NFL?
Well, the next step, I hope, is that we can focus a lot of our attention on the Tommy Vardells of the league and the Desmond Howards, you know, the great young players coming into the league, and see if we can set up a structure where players like that for the rest of the decade can have a good system that we work out together with the players so we can focus on football and get out of the course. Frankly, that's my target.
There was a time, and of course people were talking about it throughout the entire trial, that it looked as though there would be an agreement. Did it ever come to a point where it was so close you thought it was done?
Well, there were points like that, and I think that probably was true on both sides, where we made a lot of progress on some ideas, working with Gene Upshaw and his people. And I think it was, you know, some of the players over the weekend, Ron Rivera from the Bears and others, talked about some of the good concepts out there. So we need to pick up with those ideas and push it closer to the point where we can shake hands and get something done. Otherwise, as I say, things are going to harden, and this will go on for 5, 6, 7 more years in the courts, which makes nobody a winner.
And the league meeting will be coming up when? On Thursday?
We have a league meeting on Thursday, which we schedule just to, you know, see what the alternatives are. Frankly, a lot of the owners feel that the jury's verdict gives them a number of alternatives. My view is that the preferred alternative is to work with the players.
And listening to Gene Upshaw a while ago, it seems as if he would favor that also. Let's hope we can sit down and get it all together. I was a charter member of this union. I would like to see something settled and get back to playing the game on the field and not on the business pages, not on the legal side of it, and I'm sure you would too.
That is my fondest hope, and Gene and I have had a lot of conversations. Hopefully one of these days they'll bring about a deal.
And we do thank you for joining us. Let's go back now to Al Michaels and more action.
Okay, Frank. Dan, let's get caught up here as the Browns opened up confused. Then they go to a 3-back set with motion, and they've been moving the ball down the field thanks to Metcalf and Vardell, but they were set back by a penalty there.
I think they had multiple holding calls on 2 separate players, and that brought about a 1st and 20 situation. And the best way out of that is to be effective on first down. That's what the Browns have done. They picked up 12 yards, bringing up a 2nd and 8. That was a critical 12-yard pickup.
Now it is 2nd down and 8 at the 33-yard line. That's Metcalf in motion. Backside pressure. Vardell stays in the block. The pass is caught by Metcalf, and a first down at the 15-yard line. So after a very inglorious beginning, they come out, they have to take a timeout with a new offensive look. They have now put things very much in sync.
And what they have done also, Al and Frank, is to overcome some adversity. They had a good drive going. They had the big mistake that brought about a 1st and 20, and now the Browns have overcome it to get it down towards the 15-yard line. And to win, the Browns have to get the ball in the hands of their young talent like Metcalf and Vardell.
But there's a problem. Bernie Kosar is limping. I know he's normally gimpy anyway, but he has a distinct limp at the 16-yard line. Here's Vardell picking up a hard yard. Stopped by Cross and Oliver, and Kosar has been shaken up.
And that limp goes all the way back, Al, to the 2nd quarter when he was sacked. And he almost called a timeout at that point, went back into the huddle, but he has been limping ever since.
There's Todd Philcox, the backup quarterback, and he's next in line. But I have seen Bernie Kosar walk like that before and stay in a ball game. He's going to have to be hurt worse than he is now to even think about leaving the game.
2nd down 10 at the 15-yard line. 11:15 remaining in the third. Browns with their best drive of the night. Dolphins on top 14-0.
Best drive of the season.
Yeah. Kozar to the short side of the field. That's Michael Jackson. And he's out of bounds at close to the 10-yard line. A little bit short of the first. Short by about 3. Let's go back and take a look at the genesis of the Kozar injury, the limp. This back in the second quarter.
That's when he's dragged to the ground by John Offerdahl. And you can see how that leg is caught up underneath him in a very awkward and precarious position. Offerdahl landing right on top of him.
That could have been a lot worse than it obviously is. Third and call it 5 as they spotted at the 10. A short 5. They got Metcalf set in a double slot to the right, and the Browns are forced to take another timeout. So here we are in the second half, and the Browns in the whole game have 1 timeout remaining. Well, we'll see if it matters. At this point, first things first, they need a touchdown.
Asking.
Art Modell, longtime owner, president, a real mover and shaker in the NFL. Very unhappy, clearly, after last week, but looking on now quite anxiously. His team with a big play here, 3rd and 5 at the 10. Early third quarter, 14-0 Miami. Kozar out of the gun, flanked by Leroy Horde. Dolphins rush 5. Kozar throws, and it's dropped. A perfect opportunity to get back into the game as Jamie Holland drops it in the back of the end zone. Plan B pickup from the Raiders. And in a way, he's a guy who's really picked up for his special team skills, his run back skills and all that, but forced to play more tonight because of the release of Brennan, the loss of Langhorne to Plan B, and the fact they could not sign Webster Slaughter.
When you look at the Browns receiving woes, Al touched on 3 of them. Factor in Patrick Rowe, their number 2 draft choice. He's had a bad knee. He's on injured reserve. Lawyer Tillman, a high draft choice from a couple of years ago, is on injured reserve, has never been a contributor here in Cleveland. Receiving woes aplenty here on Lake Erie.
Meanwhile, Stover kicks a 28-yard field goal, so they do get 3 and trail by 11.
Introducing Levi's loose-fitting jeans. A loose interpretation of the original.
A new job, a new apartment, and a new Escort GT. Let's freeze this moment in time.
Introducing the new 93 quality line of Ford Escorts.
The woman of my dreams came with a kid and a dog. Lucky for me, I got a new Escort wagon.
With 3 women in the house, it's impossible to agree on anything except our new Escort sedan.
No wonder Escort's the best-selling small car in America. Don't you think it's time you discovered why?
Have you driven a Ford lately?
Take my clothes off for men.
This cop's job is to keep her alive.
Be with me.
Without getting too close. Nicolette Sheridan, Somebody's Daughter, Sunday.
Back to Cleveland. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf. It's 14-3 Miami. And Matt Stover to kick off. And he booms that one toward the dog pound for a touchback. Spirit of Akron, the Goodyear blimp from its home base, coming up from Akron, just south of Cleveland, providing the aerial views tonight. Stadium is close to packed, but they didn't sell out in time to lift the blackout, so the game is not being seen here. at least in most homes. The big story in town was all of the pirating that the bars planned to do to bring the game in tonight.
Well, they're brazen about it. They were calling our local station. They were trying to find out what satellite it was on.
Yeah. Should have called Al. He'd have called it.
Absolutely. First down from the 20-yard line as Mark Higgs picks up 5 up to the 25. You start with Telstar 301. 2nd and 5.
Can I get it on my watch?
Another 3 or 4 years you will.
About right, the way things have been going. Well, the Browns need to go to their secret decoder ring and intercept Dan Marino's plays.
2nd and 5.
A little deflating to have had a drop touchdown pass. Can the Browns defense make a big play?
Marino fires over the middle, and he really threads it in there, but the Browns are able to at least stop the receiver short of the first down. He jammed it in there to the tight end Farrell Edmonds, and his forward progress does not get him to the stripe. They have to get to the 30-yard line right on it. As you can see, they're a few inches short.
Edmonds coming back from a very troubled year, coming up short on the first down. Mike Johnson, the middle linebacker, in there assisting Eric Turner, who's been all over the field tonight.
It's an eligible receiver.
Here comes the beef for the Dolphins. Bert Widener has reported number 60 as an eligible receiver.
Quick count, give it to Higgs, and I think he found enough somehow, some way. The Browns, of course, are clearly going to come up and say, no, he didn't. But he only had a squirt for a few inches. Again, it's real simple. If the nose of the ball is on the chalk, he's got it. Ooh.
Well,
he's got it. Hey, he should have it. Well, you know, this is an interesting thing because the nose of the ball after a touchback should be right on the 20-yard line.
But in reality, you go by the chains.
Yeah.
Not the stripes.
Well, you need a surveying kit here because, you know, if the yard lines are, let's say, a couple of inches off, that could make, this should be a first down. By all rights, and it is.
Boy, Michael, that it was.
Well, it's real simple because you put the ball after a touchback, the nose of it touches the 20-yard line, the inside edge of it. So if the nose of the ball is on the inside edge of the 30, first down.
But you must meet the chain requirement, not the chalk requirement.
The lines could be not exactly accurate.
Right.
That's the reason for the change.
That would be one way to find out in a hurry. Chain could be a little shorter or long.
Only if there's a missing link.
All right. First down from the 30. Marino going deep, and Tony Martin makes the catch at the 23-yard line.
Oh, what a great catch, too, because he had to maintain concentration, and he did just that. Tony Martin, the speedster of these receivers. He had his man beaten convincingly, and Marino in a lot of trouble. He was working on Randy Hilliard once again. He had to slow up. He was beyond Hilliard, but Marino had his troubles in the backfield, had to roll out before he could make the delivery. Good concentration by Tony Martin.
And Hilliard had his troubles trying to spin back around and run with Martin. Lost his balance.
47-yard gain. Dolphins up by 11. 8:10 to go, third. Catch is made inside the 20-yard line. That's James Saxon. Picked him up from Kansas City, plan B to help on special teams and to also spell Tony Page from time to time. He's going to be a good acquisition for them.
Solid pocket by the Dolphin offensive line. They're veterans. They've logged a lot of time together. They were able to play together all the way through training camp. Uhlenake's the only one that's been having a problem. He's got a broken finger. But they just formed the perfect cup that time for Dan Marino.
2nd and 5. Bobby Humphrey is in the backfield now. Bobby Humphrey gets the football. Takes it to the 16. Clearly Humphrey's going to get more diversity this year. They had their running game built around Sammy Smith for a couple of seasons, and then last year it was Higgs coming in and asserting himself, and now they've got Higgs back and Humphrey back along with Page and Saxon, and they can do a lot more things.
And most people think I being one of them, that the Dolphins got the better of that trade. That Bobby Humphrey has been a more productive player in the National Football League, can do more things, certainly more valuable as a third down back out of the backfield, a better receiver. A very good trade for the Dolphins.
Third down and 3. Inside give. Here's Humphrey picking up the first down and takes it to the 6-yard line where it'll be first and goal, Miami.
And an excellent call, because if you were to study the frequency of Miami and a third down long 3, in most of those situations you're going to see a Marino pass. They go heavily to the pass in that situation, so they come with the draw play, and Cleveland, they're thinking pass. They come with the pass rush. Huge hole as Matthews is turned to the outside, and Humphrey just in the short yardage area in the red zone. He puts the head down, and he has a lot of power.
You're going to be in a nickel. Somebody has to have the middle responsibility.
First and goal at the 7-yard line. This is Higgs, and they can really mix it up now when you've got two guys like Humphrey and Higgs. Back and forth you go. Under 6 minutes to play in the third. It'll be second and goal.
Mike Johnson and Harry Galbraith are going at it. Mike Johnson displeased, actually took a slap at Galbraith when they were down on the ground. And the frustration of this Cleveland Brown team is apparent. And why not? These are prideful men that have tried to do everything they could do. Watch the conclusion of this play. Johnson thought about kicking Galbraith and wisely didn't.
Second and goal from the 5. Higgs, nothing there. Plenty there. Touchdown.
I think they're going to bring that
flag down. Holding against Miami. Take it back.
That so often happens when a back hits a hole and then breaks away from the hole, and the blocker feels the pressure releasing from his man, and he just has a natural tendency to grab. And you see it so often.
Holding. 69 offense. Still second down.
Keith Sims.
There is Sims to the left of your screen. He's moving to the outside. He gets a push from inside. You can see that right hand. He's got the jersey, and that's a full-scale takedown. Worthy of the rodeo arena. Yep. Some calls are somewhat marginal. That's not included in that category.
That's the first penalty assessed against the Dolphins tonight. They had one other that was declined.
If they had 20 yards for holding, that would be it.
Yep. Second and goal, and Marino gets dragged down by Clay Matthews. Close to a sack. Marino actually gained the minimal yardage, but Matthews did exactly what the Browns have to do right now. Keaton out of the end zone.
Marino making a good effort to hang on to the football. Matthews trying to strip it out. KJ, veteran of 15 years, knows he's got the tackle. Now he's going to try to get the football.
What really saved Dan was the fact that you could see Matthews grabbed him by the jersey in the middle of the back. That alerted Marino that he was about to be dragged down, and you could see him pull that ball with his right hand into his chest.
Third and goal at the 15.
The ageless one.
Dolphins by 11. 4:20 remaining in the third. Flags down. Marino throws, and the catch. One official, the back judge, looks at the field judge.
The guy who's right there was looking for somebody else to make the call.
Might all be academic anyway. We've got flags down. Robert Clark is the guy who made the catch.
I think Cleveland was off. Well, Cleveland was in the neutral zone. Whether they were drawn off or not, we'll see.
So you've got a penalty at the line of scrimmage and a non-call on the receiving end. Greer says offside Cleveland for starters. At worst, Miami has it at the 10 with third and goal.
Right.
At best, they've got a touchdown. As if none of you know, there's no replay this year in case you've been out of the country.
98 defense. Still third down.
But we have replay here. Okay, there's the offsides. You can see it. That's Anthony Pleasant. Now Marino on the move. The foot is right on the line. The right foot was dragged down, but the left foot, as it comes down, And you can see the chalk. Beautiful look at the chalk being kicked up by the toe of the left foot.
Well, they got it right, even though they never made the call.
Right.
3rd and goal at the 10. Big blitz. Marino throws. Knocked away. Randy Hilliard saves it on a pass intended for Tony Martin.
And Randy Hilliard comes up with a big play. They've worked on him all night. And this time, just a little fade pass, and Randy Hilliard with good position. Marino looking to hang it right over Hilliard. And Hilliard with good position all the way on Martin.
Now upcoming is a 27-yard field goal attempt. So at least the Browns remain alive. A touchdown, and it could have been lights out. 27-yarder, and Stoyanovich is perfect, but there's a flag. And it was 4th and goal, so even if it's against Cleveland here,
they're not going to take the points off the board.
It is.
Oh, that's an automatic first down.
I was going to say, unless it's a defensive holding.
Well, it depends if it was after, if it's before the kick, that's going to be defensive holding and an automatic first down.
Yes. Okay, get the call from Greer here.
Illegal use of hands, defense, number 75, a pull and shoot. First down.
First down unless Miami wants the point.
No, they'll take the first down.
I know the old rule is you don't take points off the board, but you do when you get a first down.
And that rule might not apply to Miami.
Pio Sangapulatelli is the guy who is holding. Oof.
He's on the left side, number 75. You see him grab Keith Sims and pull him out of the way so that his own man, Rob Burnett, could get through. I mean, that you're taught to do that, but not that blatantly. That's a good spot by the official.
1st and goal, and here goes Higgs. And he takes it to the 2-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal. That was the 12th play of this drive.
I mean, that's the type of a move Sangapulatelli did there that you work on. Every team in the league works on getting that guy out of the way so you can sneak a guy through the crease. You just have to be more subtle about it. I mean, that's, needless to say, a catastrophic penalty for Cleveland, giving the Dolphins a first down, a 1st and goal inside the 5. But that's his fault to a degree. It's not his fault to a degree. Figure that out.
Yeah.
How's that for some high-priced analysis?
That's why you make those big bucks.
Yeah, just mail the Emmy.
2nd and goal, and that's knocked down at the 3-yard line by Rob Burnett.
You know what? I take that whole thing back.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea what I was talking
about. I'd like you to repeat it. Yeah. I think you're older than your linear years.
Yeah. I take it all back.
You're not using your hands enough.
And you're full of zen.
Yeah. I'll try to get better.
Rob Burnett with a major vertical leap there with the deflection.
3rd and goal at the 3. 3:14 remaining in the 3rd. Here goes Higgs swinging to the outside, and they stop him at the 4. So the Brown defense rises up.
And the happiest man this side of Samoa is Pio Sangapulatelli.
I think you can even take that across the date line, and he's the happiest man.
Big effort by the Browns defense. Could give them quite a lift. Higgs trying to get to the outside. Lots of pressure there. From the inside, Rob Burnett once again in on the play.
So from near where second base would be, on the baseball infield, the kick of 22 yards is good. Stoyanovich boots it through. This time it is official. 2:27 to go on the 3rd. It's 17-3. Pretty interesting circumstances developing, of course, with the drop touchdown pass by Holland, and the Dolphins barely pick up a first down at their own 30. Meanwhile, Marino is a little heated on the sideline.
He's upset about something. Getting in an argument. Well, a heated discussion, let's call it, on the sideline. But it's an emotional game.
Stojanovic kicks off. Could be that play calling down at the goal line the second time around. Metcalf downs it in the end zone. Calling a couple of runs. That could be it. As the Browns take over at their 20, 2:21 to go in the third. Eastern time this Saturday, and then Monday night, Soldier Field. Always a wild scene on a Monday night. The Bears come home to take on the Giants. First and 10. Cleveland at the 20. 2:21 to go in the third. Miami up 17-3. Oh, Vardell on a, well, you're down by 14 and you're just running a straight ahead play on first down, and it's 2nd and 10. The Browns, keep in mind, the Browns are still looking for their first touchdown of the season.
Well, the Browns right back to the 2 tight end offense, and they're going to make it work even if it doesn't fit. This one stacked up. Now they bring out Brian Kenton, one of the tight ends, and in comes the 2 wide receiver set.
2nd and 11 at the 19-yard line. Well, they're having trouble here. They've already taken 2 timeouts. They're down only 1 in the game.
Those are very relaxed. He had enough time to change it.
Yep. Vardell, well, change it to that.
Well, they did that earlier in the game on almost the same set, read the same defense, and got the same result.
Well, they can't blame Bill Belichick for that. Bernie audible to that play. It was apparent to everyone in the stadium. I'm not sure what he saw. Miami was really just sitting in their base 3-4 defense. They are not a very fancy and very move-oriented defensive team. 3rd and 10 for the Browns.
Under a minute to go in the third. That's Leroy Hoard next to Kozar. Bernie stepping up, has to get to the 30, only gets to the 28, so he's short by 2. Taken down by David Griggs. And Marco Coleman, we haven't called his name very much tonight. You know, you go back to the beginning of the game talking about the Dolphins defensively. There it is. The key thing there, of course, is you look at that. In 1990, their defense took them into the playoffs, took them to a 12-4 record, took them to a wild card win over Kansas City. Every other year, they've been down near the bottom of the league, and they've sat at home. Here's the kick by Hansen. It's a short kick, and it's fair caught at the 36 by Scott Miller. And their D's been good tonight.
You know, that's true, Al, but they had such critical injuries to them last year. They were on their way in 1990, and they felt very good about last year. Remember, they had a lot of holdouts. They had a lot of problems. And then they lost Grimsley, their inside linebacker. They had traded, gave up a 3rd-round draft pick to Houston to get good run defender. They lost John Offerdahl. They were in deep trouble injury-wise, just at least defensively. And they've got him back, and they're playing well tonight defensively.
Well, Coleman, and we talked about Troy Vincent, who's hurt. He's not playing tonight, but sooner or later they expect him to really develop.
And they really think Marco Coleman's going to be a great one. Their 1st-round pick out of Georgia Tech.
1st and 10 at the 35 in the waning seconds of the 3rd quarter. Marino, a bullet, and incomplete at the 49-yard line. Mark Super Duper, not super enough for that one-handed grab, though he's made a few of those in his time.
Over 450 receptions over the years for Duper. Is playing without his sidekick, Mark Clayton, who is on injured reserve, but he almost pulled this down with one hand. Almost got it. And we talked all night long about Marino and his quick release. Look at this. It's a little flick. And just a little too much of a lead for Duper, who almost was able to haul it in, but he couldn't.
2nd and 10, Miami at the 35. Dolphins lead 17-3. Stepping up, fires to Edmonds. The big tight end makes the catch, takes it to the 50-yard line, and that's where the 4th quarter will begin. End of 3 at Cleveland Stadium. Dolphins lead it 17-3, and will return with Monday Night Football after this word from our ABC station.
The suburb.
There is Dwight Stevenson in his first year as an assistant offensive line coach with the Dolphins. Those of you that love offensive line play will remember Dwight. He is the finest center I ever saw.
First down as we start the fourth quarter from the 50. Marino airs it out, and it's incomplete. And looking for a flag is Tony Martin. Devon Moore with a little bump, but rather an innocuous bump it was, and there's no flag.
And I can't look at Dwight Stevenson without thinking that night his season ended down in his career ended down in Miami.
1987, there's a matchup top of your screen. Martin with the great speed, and Marino just a little behind Martin on this. Martin does have a tremendous amount of speed, and Marino underthrowing it, incompletion.
Moore bumped him before the ball got there. Stevan Moore coming from the middle in his safety position actually put a bump on Jones before the ball got there, but no flag.
Second and 10 at the 50-yard line. There's the fake to Higgs. The roll by Marino. Looking, throwing, finds the open man. Duper gets clear at the 34 and is knocked out of bounds by Eric Turner. First down, Dolphins.
What a move by Duper, and what a read by Marino to work with him. And Marino came all the way upfield to congratulate Duper. They've got to work on this a lot, because watch this now. He'll stop here. Now he starts downfield again, and Taylor has no chance.
You know, one of the things, guys, I think that people think of Dan Marino and only think of him as a pocket quarterback. He is much more agile and much more comfortable on a roll than I think a lot of people consider when they think of Dan Marino. I mean, that was an excellent example. I mean, comfortably rolling out to his right, throwing on the move, and throwing a strike. He's more agile and nimble than people think.
First down. And Duper makes the catch. You're right. So many people talk about so many of his other attributes, you forget about that part of his game.
And Duper is sending Terry Taylor to school. That time Taylor thinking Duper was going deep, and he just breaks it to the sideline, wide open.
Well, another part of all this is that the Browns are not mounting anything near an effective pass rush. The Dolphins' offensive line is forming a perfect pocket for Dan Marino more often than not, and we all know the result. You have to get in Marino's face, and that push has to come from your two defensive tackles or some type of a blitz up the middle. If not, he'll kill you.
Martin in motion. From the 23, here's Higgs to the 21-yard line. Pick up a 2. Another thing for Miami, we talked about, defensively, it's going to make a big difference for him this year. Also, the beginning of this season. Tonight, Cleveland. Next week, they go home with the Rams. Week 3 at Seattle. It's real important for Miami to get off to a good start. That's the soft part of their schedule.
And the bye they had coming up in the 5th week is no longer a bye, because their game was canceled because of Hurricane Andrew, and New England and Miami will meet on the 18th of October.
And when you look within their division, things have improved. The Jets, even though they're off to an 0-2 start, I think we know are a good football team, and the Colts are better.
Here's Higgs. Picks up 2.
Just one of the two teams that kept Miami out of the playoffs a year ago. That final game of the season, the Jets defeating Miami in overtime. The Dolphins losing the next to last game to San Diego, and a win in either one of those games, and they had been in the playoffs.
And they don't play the Colts for the first time until October 25th, and Jeff George should be back and healthy and have a few games under his belt by that time.
Good look at Tony Page, looking for a Brown jersey to knock down.
There it was last year, first time in the history of that franchise. They lost 2 games when they had the lead in the fourth quarter, 2 games in a row, and a critical deuce it was. 2nd and 8. Catch is made short of the first down. Tony Martin makes the catch at the 15.
You look at that graphic, guys, and you think, well, somebody had to do it, or it happens to anybody. But the key to that, that happened so infrequently to the Miami Dolphins, I think, are because of 2 things. One, Don Shula's teams are always so highly disciplined. And the other side of it is they are always in fantastic shape. He has always fielded slim, trim, highly energized, and beautifully conditioned football teams. And they seldom lose the lead in the fourth quarter, because more often than not, their opponent is more tired than they are.
And mistake-free, too. They're always among the league leaders in fewest penalties. 3rd and 4. Marino throws, and that's incomplete on a mistimed pass. Tony Page was there and looked around a little bit too late. And mistiming and miscommunication there between Marino and Page, setting up a field goal attempt on 4th down.
I think Mr. Page is going to be lectured by Mr. Marino about being a little more prepared, anticipating that quick pass on the blitz.
I think Page felt he was picked up so quickly by Brandon, the linebacker, that ball was not going to come his way.
And told Tony to get on the same page. Wanted to mount it to. Scratch that from the record. 33-yard field goal attempt for Stojanovic. Splits him. 11:53 remaining in the 4th quarter at Cleveland. And the Dolphins have extended their advantage to 17.
Go stand in the corner.
Ball, week 2, Cleveland on a sparkling night. Gorgeous weather, but the atmosphere in Cleveland Stadium right now does not match it because their Browns are down 20-3, and Cleveland has yet to score a touchdown in over 7 quarters this season. 20-3 is the score. Stojanovic to kick off for the Dolphins. Eric Metcalf standing at the goal line. And whatever's passing for a breeze right now, actually it has picked up, blowing the ball off the tee.
You really think the wind blew that off the tee?
I don't know.
Get out of here.
This gust coming in from Lake Erie.
Yeah. See the breeze there.
Yeah.
Oh,
there we go.
Takes more than that to blow.
Stoyanovic's kick, and that one is a touchback. Guys, we like to cover the world of sports here at ABC. Now, in case you boys missed it, on Friday, in the feature race at Del Mar in California, there's a horse by the name of Barak, bred in France, partially owned by the guy in on the left side of the picture. I remember you boys asking me about this horse the last time we were in Chicago.
Is that James Conn, second from the left? Who is that?
I just want you to know who won the feature race at Del Mar on.
I just asked you
in the 8th.
I remember asking how much it cost to feed that thing.
Well, I want you guys. Are you guys interested in any breeding rights?
He wouldn't have won if I was in the saddle. Congratulations,
yeah. Thank you.
Well, you're just trying to raise that.
First down from the 20-yard line is Kozar. Looks for Michael Jackson, who gets out in front, and he gives the crowd a thrill. Michael Jackson takes it to the 20. 60-yard gain.
Well, this youngster out of Southern Mississippi is a big play receiver of the future as far as Bill Belichick is concerned, and that time he split the coverage. And Bernie Kosar shows you what he can do. He gets a little protection. There is J.B. Brown. He's got outside coverage. He's anticipating help from the inside. And he's anticipating Lewis Oliver getting there a little more quickly than he did. There's Oliver, number 25. Well-thrown football, perfectly timed out to who they think is going to be a star of the future, Michael Jackson.
First down, Cleveland at the 20-yard line as James Brooks goes in motion. Eric Metcalf takes the give and tightropes down the sideline behind a Vardell block.
I know we have said it before, but every time Eric Metcalf takes off, there's such a remarkable resemblance to his father, Terry Metcalf, in those great years with UDAM, the St. Louis Cardinals. They are lookalikes.
It's the same number, the same moves. Eric is a little bigger than Terry. Not nearly as successful, though, at this point in his career. Terry Metcalf was a hit the minute he got to the National Football League. But when you talk to people in the Browns organization, they tell you that Eric Metcalf is maturing rapidly.
2nd and 4, and there is Brooks going to the 11-yard line. He loses the football, but they say down. They say down at the 11-yard line. And, of course, with no replay, there's no review here. Cleveland maintains possession.
And we all know that dirt can't cause a fumble.
And very close to a first down. The thing you wonder about Eric Metcalf, will he fit into Bill Belichick's big back power offense?
Well, let's put it this way, Frank. This is a football team, and you can see that he was down before the ball comes out. This is a football team in need of anybody who's capable of making a big play. And of course, for Metcalf, that can come in the shape of returns, whether it be kickoff returns, punt returns, but I don't see where this Browns team can give up on anybody who can score touchdowns from more than 3 yards away. And Eric Metcalf can certainly do that.
And certainly not at this juncture. That's a team with, what, only 18 draft picks on the football team, and the average in the league is 26 or 27. And they are a team that has reached out to Plan B, trades, and free agents, trying to put together the type of football team that will be reflective of Bill Belichick's thinking.
Tight formation, just outside the 10, 3rd and inches, and they get the first down as Tommy Vardell, the Stanford rookie, takes it to the 5-yard line.
And he is the one man that Bill Belichick wanted out of the draft. He got him in the first round, the big, strong fullback. Not only big and strong, he's a good receiver, as most backs are from Stanford. He's an academic All-American and all the qualifications.
And when in doubt, if you're a fullback, cut back. Go against the grain. And that time, Vardell took it back 1 hole. And 5.7 yards per carry. Big numbers, even for Jim Brown, much less Tommy Vardell.
Here he is again on 1st and goal. Ooh, look at him go! And it is, he stopped just outside the goal line. What a tremendous run by Vardell. What does he think he is, Barry Sanders?
Look at this.
A 240-pounder doing those kinds of acrobatics. That's rather remarkable.
Oh, this guy should have been a first-round draft choice. That was a nifty spin by Vardell, and frankly, I thought he was in when it happened. The official must have seen something touch the ground. Let's watch it.
A total spin, keeping his balance, and boy, he looked awfully close. Did the ball break the plane?
2nd and goal, and Ward cannot break the plane.
Somebody came over the top for the Dolphins.
Might have been Brian Cox.
We got to check this on replay. I think it's Kenny Wolf, our producer. It's one of the linebackers. Kenny thinks it's Offerdahl. We got to take a look at it and see it, because whoever comes over the top and makes that hit keeps the Browns from getting in the end zone.
And what timing, too.
There's Grimsley. Oh, it's Offerdahl. It's Offerdahl coming from the backside. Big time play.
3rd and goal. 8:10 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Oh, and that hurts.
Oh,
that hurts.
Ed King,
oh,
the guard.
That's a false start.
False start. 66 offense. Still 3rd down.
Well, he's saying Tony Jones, but that's 68 in there. That's
right.
King.
That's Ed King, the right guard.
And that certainly changes the complexion of this 3rd down call. They were obviously.
And think back now.
The run play as you saw King with that block.
If the Browns don't get in, the significance of Vardell not getting the touchdown.
3rd down and goal. Those are throws, and that's incomplete.
Another flag.
Oh, Leroy Horde, who would not have gotten into the end zone. He would have been out of bounds at the 2 had he caught it. Side judge makes the call. Against Cleveland.
Oh, boy.
That's pushing off. Not a screen. I don't think they were.
1st and goal at the 1-foot line. At the 6-inch line. And now the Browns have managed to put themselves a long way from home.
Dolphins have the option here. It was 3rd and goal. And they can make it 4th and goal.
Well, pass interference. Number 1, offense. It's declined.
I was wondering what Don was saying at first. He said push him back, and then he go, no.
That's right.
Remember what down it was.
You don't give him another down. You bring up 4th.
And Michael Jackson going against J.B. Brown. And that's a pretty delicate call there. J.B. Brown had a handful of birds there, it appeared.
I'm not sure Michael Irvin would have been flagged for that.
Well, the Browns going for it on 4th and goal, 7:51. 20-3 is the score. Kozar protected well, fires. Jackson makes the catch. Touchdown.
And of all the people to get the touchdown, significant that it was Jackson. It was his long pass reception that sparked the Browns.
They just spread it away from Chris Green. Big man. 6'4", 195-pounder. He's not only fast, he's very quick.
And Bernie hobbles to the sidelines.
Art Modell has just watched his team score its first touchdown of the season. It took them 7.5 quarters to do it. Stover for the point after. Brown still breathing.
Bernie Kosar throws a touchdown pass to Michael Jackson. Obviously, the Browns inspired by Al's horse.
That was the Michael Jackson tour, that last drive.
6th-round draft pick last year. He had a 16-yard average on 17 receptions a year ago, and he is obviously the man with all the receivers we've talked about all night that are no longer here.
Stover's kick, 9 yards into the end zone. Down to by Williams, and the Dolphins will take over at the 20. Well, if the Browns get back into the game, it's a big if, of course, because of their offense. Also, keep in mind, too, they had to waste those 2 timeouts early in the third quarter. They only have 1 remaining.
Meanwhile, Bernie Kosar has his offensive unit huddled around him, and he is limping very noticeably now.
One thing about Bernie Kosar, though, in this town and this team, he is the Cleveland Browns. I mean, Bernie Kosar is everything that this team would like to be and represent in this community.
Here's Higgs. He swings to the outside. It's a nice move and a beautiful run out to the 29-yard line, making something out of nothing. Pickup of 9. Stevan Moore comes up to stop him.
Higgs is playing back to the early part of a year ago, making some nifty moves tonight. He's not big, 5'7", but very low center of gravity, 195-pounder, and he's turned in some fine runs tonight.
22 carries is a good day at the office for an NFL running back.
Take a look at the Bobby Humphreys on the sidelines.
Yep. You brought your lunch pail and settled in for a long day when you hammer it out anytime on the far side at 20 in this league.
2nd and 1. Marino doing a beautiful job, taking as much time off the clock as he can. Higgs fights for the first down. They had him stopped.
Oh, that's close.
He loses the football. It's picked up by David Brandon. David Brandon goes in for a touchdown.
And there are no flags. And I think we'll see Don Shula go bananas. He hates fumbling.
And so often happens, the back trying to make a second, a third effort. And that's concentration on the ball and out of cover.
And that's exactly what it was for Higgs, Frank. I mean, broke a tackle, picked up a first down. A sensational effort by Mark Higgs results in a Cleveland touchdown. Look at the ball being stripped out. I think Mike Johnson, the middle linebacker, got a hand on the ball and ripped it out of Mark Higgs, and Brandon picked it up and ran it in.
Stover for the point after. Brandon, meanwhile, is the guy who ran back an interception to beat San Diego in overtime last year. Ran back a blocked punt in '87. That's the 3rd touchdown of his career, and Cleveland is very much back in it.
Yeah, but he owes that to Mike Johnson. You're exactly right, Dan. He just stripped it out, and Brandon just happened to be in the area. Football game.
Okay.
As an engine builder, I recommend for longer engine life, change your oil between 2,000 and 3,000 miles. Second thing, make sure you use Pennzoil because Pennzoil will protect. I feel like changing oil and keeping good and clean oil in your car is probably the most important things on the vehicles today. I use it for myself, I use it for all my family cars, and I definitely would recommend it for anybody to use Pennzoil, yes. Pennzoil, performance, protection, quality, that says it all.
Nipper and Chipper show us what the RCA home theater with SRS sound looks like. Now they show us what it feels like. Looks like, feels like. looks like, feels like. Any questions?
Chrysler has found a new way to develop cars. Instead of designers, engineers, manufacturers, and parts suppliers working separately, they now work as one in something called a platform team.
The result? A totally new automotive architecture called Cab Forward. It'll influence how cars are designed into the next century.
Introducing the Chrysler Concorde, the Dodge Intrepid, and the Eagle Vision. In the car business, you lead, follow, get out of the way.
Wednesday, Hayden pops the question.
What do you say we fly out to Las Vegas tomorrow and get married, honey?
It's the season premiere of Coach on a special night Wednesday.
Well, it's been Mike Jackson and Mike Johnson who've made the two big plays. Cleveland is back in the game. It's 20-17. Stover's kick comes down 2 yards in, down to by Mike Williams, who follows the directions of Aaron Craver, and here come the Dolphins again. 6:33 left in regulation, and again we point out Cleveland has just one timeout remaining.
Don Shula conferring with Gary Stevens, his quarterback coach.
And thinking back to a few minutes ago, they would certainly have liked to have got that touchdown rather than the field goal.
173 yards so far in the second half for the Browns. Of course, that defensive effort by Brandon and Johnson doesn't figure into that offensive total, but the 7 points sure do.
From the 20-yard line, the fake to Higgs. Marino with the pump fake. Marino going deep into coverage. It's underthrown and nearly picked off.
Whoa.
Terry Taylor, number 24, on a pass intended for Duper and thrown about 8 yards short.
Well, that's a setup play all the way. Marino on the fake was coordinated with Duper making a break as if he was going to hook for the pass, but the Cleveland secondary just didn't bite it at all, and Dan threw the ball way into the middle of the field. That's the type of pass where you're assuming that the defensive backs bit on that pump, and the Browns didn't.
I don't think Duper's going to see single coverage the rest of this game after what he's been doing to the outside receivers. He had double there.
Second down and 10. Four-man rush, fires over the middle. Page makes the catch to the 29-yard line. Ooh, one of the Browns came in late. Mike Johnson makes the tackle. There's no late hit. And there's a very vital play coming up here. Third down and 1, as Marino's going to take as much time off this clock as he can with 6:06 remaining in regulation.
I think that was Vince Newsom that came in there sliding in late, and Page was instantly lobbying for the call. Oh, there's a hand on Page's face mask as he's going down. That's Mike Johnson, 59, and there's Newsom sliding in. No wonder Page was upset. He got a face mask and a semi-late hit.
Third and 1 at the 29. Higgs bouncing, diving, and should have the first down. Tremendous effort.
And if Eric Turner wraps up instead of just going for the Terminator shot, they get Higgs short of the first down. But Eric Turner went for T3 and tried to put Higgs out and didn't wrap up.
And Turner has taken a lot of backs down in his time with that kind of a shot.
Yeah, but he had
to wrap it around. Higgs is like a bowling ball here. Watch him bounce off Turner. Right there, boom. Spins back to the inside. Only a few moments ago he lost the ball with that second effort. This time he gets a critical first down.
Miami by 3, under 5 minutes to play right now. Marino, the master, taking the clock down. Sacked at the 20. Ernie Logan.
And the Browns, who haven't mounted a serious pass rush in at least 2 quarters of football, put Dan Marino down.
And it wasn't a single effort. They just poured all over him. They came over the tough left side of the Dolphins.
A line stunt inside. The loop around by Logan. And the Dolphin offensive line didn't pick up the stunt.
2nd and 20. Play clock down to 2. Marino throwing to the near side. Catch is made at the 35 by Tony Martin. He is about 6 yards short of the first down.
And a good call, too. You don't go for all of it. Randy Hilliard was playing deep, and Martin takes it upfield, gets 3/4 of it, and puts Dan Marino in great shape to go for the first down with a conservative pass on 3rd down.
Now again, in the final 5 minutes of the 4th quarter, the clock stops and is not restarted on an out-of-bounds play, so it stopped at 4:10.
And again, the Browns seem to be caught short with Dan Marino in his rollouts. He's been rolling to his right, and the Browns are getting no upfield contain whatsoever.
3rd and 6. They have to get it to the 41. The catch is made, but he drops it at the 40-yard line. Bobby Humphrey had it for an instant, dropped it. They'll punt. And they'll punt with Stoyanovich because Roby was hurt earlier.
That's a tough catch for Bobby Humphrey.
Tough catch, but Marino had it right there.
Oh, he did. But that ball's got a little sizzle on it. It's pretty high over the outside shoulder. I mean, that would have been a sensational catch, and it was good coverage by Richard Brown, the linebacker.
If you joined us late, Roby was hurt. Stojanovich's kick the last time was 48 yards, but about 17 of those came on the bounce.
And who would have thought the Browns are going to get the ball with a chance to win the ball game?
Wobbly kick, fair catch, called for and made by Metcalf at the 22-yard line.
Is this a great game or what?
Great 4th quarter.
I'm just talking about the game of football. And this was snooze city. The Browns were doing nothing. I mean, nothing. And here we are now with less than 4 minutes left to play in the ball game, and the Browns have a chance to either tie or take the lead.
You look around at this stadium, and a lot of stadiums, it would have been 3/4 empty. The Browns were that far out of it. There's not an empty seat here, it doesn't appear.
Or at the very least, Frank, and now there would have been a lot of junk thrown on the field. It was an unhappy crew.
3:59 left. The Browns have 1 timeout plus the 2-minute warning. Miami up by 3.
And we'll see if Michael Jackson can make it a victory tour.
At the 22-yard line. Bernie Kosar retreats. And Bernie gets hit as he throws. Brooks can't make the catch. Backside pressure that time by Brian Cox.
Ooh, and that's the kind of a hit that really hurts.
Boy, and they had the matchup. They won it on Brooks, however. Linebacker, Offerdahl. And that was a pass that Brooks should have caught.
Some sacks are takedowns and some are thud sacks. This is a thud sack. That's a bone-jarring, thorax-hurting hit.
And one that, no question, Brooks should have caught, and deep downfield, this was the kind of action. Louis Oliver upsetting Michael Jackson. Almost knocked his gloves off.
Second down and 10 at the 23.
Only one of them.
Great catch by Bavaro, somehow holding on, and Mark Bavaro makes his first catch of the night up to the 32-yard line. Big play. It is, according to Johnny Greer, he marks it as a first down. I'll tell you something. I thought that was close enough to definitely measure.
Oh, me too.
Greer took a look. I'm not sure he really got it. Too late now.
A generous spot.
Yes. First and 10 at the 33-yard line.
Again, we must remind you how the Browns wasted some timeouts in the 3rd quarter. That hurts.
2 of them on their first series. Bardell with the block to pick up Cox. Jackson makes the catch at the 48-yard line.
And he stops the clock in doing so. Jackson getting a lot of respect now and playing way off. His number 42, Chris Green. Jackson takes it well across midfield, acute angles it back to the sideline, gets the first down and stops the clock.
5th catch for Jackson tonight. That was the Jackson 5 right there.
Oh, no.
First down at the 48-yard line. 3:01.
It's regulation. Easy as ABC.
Yeah. Kosar throws. Metcalf makes the catch. Metcalf picks up the first down. Run out by Louis Oliver.
There's a mismatch. Oliver lined up on Metcalf. He gave him
a lot of room, and it was Metcalf just pulling up with about a 4 or 5 yard hitch. Oliver playing way off of Metcalf.
Well, and it's one of the things you can do with a weapon like Metcalf is line him up wide as a wide receiver, and the guy that's going to come out and take him, because he's not a burner, is a guy like Louis Oliver. And Louis Oliver is a hitter. He's a big, strong, aggressive safety in the open field. I'm not sure he's a match for a guy like Metcalf.
That's the man you went man for man on Metcalf. After a glimpse of Stover, the catch is made by Bavaro, who splits Green and Grimsley. First down.
It was not the team that we watched in the first half.
No,
we watched against Indianapolis.
But what we have seen on this drive are 2 catches by Mark Bavaro. But what the Browns must stay away from is all game long they've been making mistakes at critical times. They cannot afford one here.
They're already in field goal range. Cardell for a tough 4-yard pickup. Takes it to the 23-yard line. The clock will stop at the 2-minute warning, and then they have 1 timeout left.
Dolphins were in a blitz, and they were able to get outside, and Vardell picked up a big 4 yards out of it.
2-minute warning.
The world's most comfortable mattress would be one you couldn't feel at all. That's the idea behind Sealy's Posturepedic sleep system, designed to support everyone differently, to conform to every curve, distribute your weight evenly. Only Sealy Posturepedic has it, and for a more comfortable night's sleep, there's nothing like it.
No matter which side of the abortion issue you're on, we've got news for you. It may already be decided. Why Roe versus Wade is moot. If it's important to you, you'll find it in time.
I hadn't been on vacation in so long, I couldn't wait to grab my luggage and get to the beach. I had to get to Dollar Rent-A-Car fast. I knew they were right on the airport with low rates.
Welcome to Dollar.
Hello, I have a car rental reservation.
No problem. I'll just punch it up on the computer. Dollar Rent-A-Car is right on the airport, right on the money, with unlimited mileage and locations worldwide. Call your travel consultant or Dollar at 1-800-800-4000.
Somebody turned on the switch. You go back to the Indy game, the first half tonight. The Browns gained a total of 217 yards. Since halftime, 227.
If you go no farther than they do right now, you're looking at a 40-yarder by Stover,
who has kicked a 55-yarder in his career, but he has been very erratic and inconsistent. 2nd and 5 at the 23-yard line. 2 minutes to play. Miami up by 3. Great protection. Cardell inside the 10 to the 2.
And now the Browns are at a situation where they're in no hurry to run a play, and we have the Dolphins very, very wisely taking a timeout. Very wisely. Don Shula is conceding the fact that at the very least it's going to be a tie game. Maybe he'll be trailing, and if he's going to have a chance to win this game, he wants some time on the clock.
And he wants time for one of the best quarterbacks that ever played this game in moving the ball with little time on the clock or no time, Dan Marino.
I'm not sure that's a timeout that a lot of coaches in the National Football League would have taken, guys. I'm not sure that's one that a lot of people would have just automatically jumped on the way Shula did.
That is a perfect observation. You're exactly right. 30 years as a head coach, the whole thing. Yep.
But he understands his personnel so well. You go back to the years he
won with the ground game. He won with the pass game. He won with David Woodley. He can win with Dan Marino. He coaches according to personnel. It isn't Don Shula football. He's not locked into it. He gets the people and he gets the most out of them.
And he understands strategy as well as anybody.
Yes, sir.
1st and goal inside the 4. Here's Vardell behind Horde. Wrapped up by Cox, knocked down at the 3-yard line. Gained inches. Klingbeil is there to wrap him up as well. Clock down to 1:25 now.
There they go again.
Yeah. A timeout. Johnny Greer signaling. Timeout, Miami again.
Yep. Oh, yeah. You're committed to it now.
Well, you're right there. You're exactly right. I can't think of, I don't want to say no other coach would do it, but, I mean, Shula is just a master.
Yes, he is. Not to mention the fact that I think another thing to consider is that the Browns have been reeling off yardage in some pretty big chunks. And these timeouts, if one of those two teams out on the field right now needs opportunities to regroup and collect themselves, it's the Miami defense.
And a good look at Don Shula talking to John Sandusky, his line coach. They're talking about what happens if they get the ball back and they are trailing. What are they going to do? His former teammate with the Cleveland Browns has been with him so many years.
It's a fascinating use of the clock. I mean, it's almost the reverse of what you'd expect. But he's given his team the best chance to win. 2nd down, goal at the 3. Each team now with 1 timeout remaining. Metcalf in motion. Kosar to throw. Underneath, touchdown, Bavaro.
And I think Mark Bavaro hurt himself. He was hit real low. And 2 deeply religious men in Mark Bavaro and Bernie Kosar, each in their own way.
And I don't care what the Giants fans love Mark Bavaro. The decision made by the Giants, he could no longer play, a medical one that they still stand by. He's doing this on his own, and that is one tough football player, one great football player, holding on to the football.
Oh, he hit the upright. Stover missed it, but they still have a 3-point lead. They would have forced Miami to score a touchdown. Now Miami can kick a field goal.
Oh, my. You said it, Al. He's been erratic. He missed from 38 yards at Indianapolis, but for the moment, Mark Bavaro, it's a wonderful story.
Look at the shot that Bavaro takes on his knee. We need to get a good look at that. Here is the extra point on the upright, and it just bounces away. And boy, what a difference between 4 points and 3 points with 1:18 left in the ballgame. Here's Mark Bavaro. First of all, look how nifty that is, but watch the shot right there on the knee.
Look at the head, holding on to the football. An unbelievable effort.
Now the downside, as you look again, of Miami taking those timeouts, is they have only 1 with 1:18 to go.
But if you only have 1, the man you would want directing your attack is in there, Dan Marino.
I mean, this is one of the wackiest comebacks ever. I mean, this is crazy.
Stoyanovich, by the way, has kicked one from 59 and 58 in his career, both off artificial surface. And again, it's much more difficult to kick it off the grass.
I mean, you couldn't script this. Cleveland showing nothing, out of the game, crowd ready to leave, get back in it, and then of all people, Bavaro, whose career is apparently done a year and a half ago, scores a touchdown.
But without those timeouts, same score, maybe 10, 15 seconds left on the clock.
Stover to Craver. Aaron Craver from the 2. Jumped at the 15-yard line. A diving tackle by Randy Baldwin.
And Randy Baldwin is all over the field special teams-wise for the Browns. And he has just continued what he's been doing since last week in Indianapolis. He was all over the place, and he has been tonight as well.
It's an unbelievable football game. Hilgenberg, the Chicago Bear. This is an unlikely one to be out here leading a Browns crowd, getting them on their feet, getting them fired up, but that's what he's doing.
What the heck? shores of Lake Erie, shores of Lake Michigan. He likes those stadiums by the water.
From the 15-yard line, Marino. That's caught by Duper. He is gang tackled at the 34-yard line.
And that'll quiet things down for a moment.
Against Stojanovic with good range. Stojanovic has kicked several over 50. They're not that far from field goal range at the 35-yard line now as he gets loose on the sideline.
Oh, and the Browns only rush 3.
And underneath it's Humphrey. He's to the 45 of Miami. Clock ticking down. Barry Wilburn makes the tackle.
They realistically only need 20 more yards before Stojanovic can reach it.
They need to rush Marino. This 3-man rush, dropping 8, isn't going to get it.
They rush 3 again. Again, Miami has just the one timeout. Wide open at the 40-yard line. Freddie Banks, first catch of the night at the 33 and a flag down.
I think that's roughing Dan Marino, though.
Yep. Johnny Greer says roughing the passer.
Whoa. I cannot agree with rushing 3 guys against Dan Marino.
Roughing the passer is the call.
Yep. And we are now deep into Browns territory. 29 seconds left on the clock. You're allowed 2 steps and considerably more than that. That's Anthony Pleasant, number 98.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 98, defense. First down.
Tack it on. So clearly in Stoyanovic's range now. Now they're thinking touchdown.
Well, indeed they are. They just have to control your emotions. Anthony Pleasant, 1, 2. Marginal maybe, but they're going to call it this year particularly.
All right, 1 timeout left, 29 ticks left. Clock won't start until the snap.
The Browns, I think, almost, they have to gamble and come after Marino. They have to force a bad play. You can't wait for Marino to make a bad play. You've got to force it.
Matthews lined up to rush, and here he comes. So it's a 4-man rush. They pick him up. The throw to the 1-yard line. It is caught at the 1-yard line by Banks, who had not caught a ball all night. Now he's caught 2 in a row. Clock continues to run.
They want to throw the ball, kill the clock, is what Marino wants to do.
Marino should spike it and does. He has 10 seconds. You've got a flag. You've got 1 timeout left. You got everything in the world happening.
Oh, watch out. I wonder if they're going to call motion on the Dolphins. Was anybody moving?
No,
against
Cleveland.
The Browns. Oh, what a big penalty that would have been.
Encroachment, 75, defense.
So I hope a lot of people stuck around to watch this. An unbelievable finish.
Yes, you could say that.
Mike Johnson now.
He's the guy that got
goal line defense in.
He's the guy that got that comeback started by stripping the ball from Higgs.
Well, they can stop the clock. They've got a timeout remaining. 1st and goal. They come up with Page as the fullback. Higgs is the tailback. Higgs dives. Touchdown, Miami.
Hard to believe. What a second half of football. And Dan Marino has just turned, what, 36?
31 years old.
31, rather.
Like almost right now. Tuesday morning, his birthday, and the clock has just struck midnight in more ways than one.
I'll tell you, what a Hall of Fame drive that was.
What a Hall of Fame drive it was indeed, guys. But you really have to question the Browns only coming with a 3-man pass rush, and even down in the red zone, only coming with 4, which is not a blitz.
How many times have you seen that prevent defense picked apart, and particularly by like somebody like Marino? Unbelievably accurate, willing to throw underneath, perfect control of the time and the clock.
On the drive, he's 4 for 4, throws for 68 yards. Banks, who didn't catch a pass all night, makes back-to-back receptions. Higgs takes it in. Unreal. 27-23 Miami.
Banks has been back and forth on this Miami roster now since 1987. Great hands, great talent. They've always expected him to develop into a great receiver, never quite reaching that fulfillment, but he made a superb play there. That was not an easy catch.
You know, it's funny, under normal circumstances, a team like Cleveland would be devastated with a loss like this. You fight from behind, you take the lead, you cough it up with 7 seconds to go. But on the other side of the coin, guys, I got to think, all things considered, it's a lot better than that had they been blown out of this one, which they were on their way to becoming early in the fourth quarter.
They showed a lot of heart in coming back here, fighting their way back into a ball game. But we also had an opportunity to study at the feet of the master, two masters. One, Don Shula in his use of the clock. The other, Dan Marino, in his use of the football.
A lethal combination, aren't they? There's John Sandusky. His offensive line did a tremendous job giving Marino time on that drive. Touched on it, Al, one of the master strategists that ever walked the sidelines of a football field.
You know, not that it overtly paid off with those timeouts, but just to watch him do his thing and to think about what he does. The whole process is fascinating.
And how quickly he reacted and called them.
Yep. Stojanovich's kick. Bouncing to the 7. Here comes Metcalf. Clock stops. They'll have one play. And they need 76 yards.
Those are limping noticeably.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been some weekend for the family Shula.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend of football, too. And some of the games yesterday that the commissioner was talking about. It is a great game, I agree, Dan.
Dave Shula wins yesterday in OT. Don tonight. Had it fully in his grasp. Watch it go away. Got it back. Last play, but there's a penalty flag down.
That could be against the offense, however.
Yeah, it looked like offensive holding. Bernie Kosar. It's dropped. If it's against, another flag is in. He crossed the line of scrimmage. So this is the way it's going to end.
Illegal forward pass on the offense. Last play of the game. The game is over.
A heroic effort by Bernie Kosar. He crossed the line of scrimmage, came back, and then threw the pass. But still, I'm limping since the second quarter. Hats off to Bernie.
Great scene there. Dan Marino coming across the field to have a visit to Bernie Kosar, two of the great quarterbacks in the game today.
Not many fourth quarters like that, gang.
No, this weekend at Bernie's proved to be fun.
Yes, it did. Yep. Some good stories on the commuter trains tomorrow. The guys who stayed awake for it and everybody who switched off the set.
Yeah, a lot of good stories around the New York area as they had a chance to watch one of their legends, Mark Bavaro. Look at this.
A wild one from Cleveland. Dolphins win at 27-23. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf saying goodnight from Cleveland. We'll talk to you next Monday from Chicago. Bears, Giants.